Close enough. Half burp. Okay. Where are you? Aunt Hannah demanded as soon as Alex thumbed talk. What do you think you're doing? I just crossed into Michigan, Alex said, choosing the easiest question first. When she spotted the welcome to Michigan. Oh fuck. If I was in your position, I wouldn't even be reading. Wow, Dawn. Wow. I'm crying. Listen, reading is fun, all right? Yeah, don't come for me for that. When she spotted the welcome to Michigan sign, Great Lakes, great times, she felt a sense of things opening up, expanding, as if she'd been traveling in a perpetual night on a lonely road hemmed by a thick, black forest, and was only now getting her first glimpse of the sun. I had to get gas, which was really neither here nor there. Michigan. What the bloody hell is in Michigan? Aunt Hannah's second husband had been a Brit. Aunt Hannah wasn't. She was originally from Wisconsin, Sheboygan, which Alex didn't think was a real place until the Everly brothers mentioned it and said Bloody was way better than other swears because all her friends, most of whom were Lutherans, thought she was just being cute. Oh, that Hannah. So Aunt Hannah said Bloody quite often, especially in church. I'm crying. Tommy is alive, LMAO. Oh, okay. Lots of things, Alex said. She stood a few feet away from the gas station's bathrooms in a blush of salmon-colored light from the setting sun. Across the street, a billboard suggesting a visit to Orrin Amish country jockeyed with one extorting families to bring their elderly to a hospice named Northern Light, God's light in dark times. And another suggested a visit to the iron mining museums north of town. I just needed some time. Time? Time for what? Aunt Hannah's voice was tight. You think this is a bloody game? We're talking about your life, Alexandria. I know that, it's just... She toyed with a silver whistle on a sterling chain around her neck. The whistle had been a gift from her father when she was 6, on their first overnight hike. You ever get in trouble out there, honey, you just blow that and I'll be there in a heartbeat. This was one of her few, clear, precious memories of him. I need to do this now while I still can. I see. So they're with you? Alex knew who she meant. Yes. I noticed your father's gun is missing too. I've got it. I see, Aunt Hannah said again, although her tone suggested she really didn't. Do you honestly think suicide is the answer? Is that what you think? From somewhere over her shoulder, Alex heard the bathroom door open, and a moment later 2 girls, a blonde and a brunette, swished by, each wearing a powder blue sweatshirt with Somerville High and a tennis racket stenciled in a blaze of white. You think I'm going to kill myself? She regretted the words as soon as they were out of her mouth. Glancing at Alex, Ponytail Blonde leaned in to whisper something to Ponytail Brunette. They also threw Alex a look. They both did the whole peek, whisper, giggle routine all the way across the lot of a small, ancient-looking school bus and a harried older guy with glasses and a frizz of Einstein's hair. Cheeks burning, Alex turned away. It's nothing like that. Although, if she was being truthful, it wasn't like she hadn't downed a couple shots of Jack and turned her dad's gun out a few times for a good hard stare. The thing that stopped her mainly was the thought that her hand might jerk and she'd end up giving herself a frontal lobotomy or something, which would be just too pathetic. She could picture the Gossip Girls, kids like Ponytail Blonde and Ponytail Brunette, at lunch afterward, like, God, how lame. Aunt Hannah said, yes, but if you were coming back, you wouldn't have taken them. No, all it means is that they're not coming back. Alexandra, there's no need for you to do this on your own. Your mother was my sister. Aunt Hannah's voice got a little watery. I know she would never have agreed to this. This was not their intention. Well, isn't it good they're not around to argue the point? Aunt Hannah went from watery to desert dry in a nanosecond. Don't use that tone with me, Alexandra. You're only 17. You're a very sick young woman. and you're not old enough to know what's best in the situation. Stubbornness and self-pity are not answers. This was getting them nowhere. All Aunt Hannah saw was a 17-year-old orphan with a brain tumor the size of a tennis ball who'd finally cracked under the strain. I know, Aunt Hannah, you're right. Feeling sorry for myself and being a pain in the ass are not answers. Good. Now we've cleared that up. Her aunt honked onto a tissue. When are you coming back? Maybe never. First week in October, maybe. The 8th? She could hear her aunt counting under her breath. 12 days? Why so long? It takes that long to hike there and back. Hike? Well, there aren't any roads. But you can't be serious. You're not strong enough. Sure I am. It's been 3 months since the last cycle. I've been running and swimming and lifting. And my weight's up again. I'm plenty strong. But what about the new treatments? You're due in 3 days and I'm not doing any more treatments. Dr. Barrett was very clear that this new procedure. Her aunt broke off as Alex's words registered. What? What do you mean you're not doing any more treatments? Don't be ridiculous. Of course you are. What are you saying? I'm saying that I'm done, Aunt Hannah. But the experimental drug, her aunt spluttered. The procedure, the pebbles! You know they're not going to work. Like the new drug, the pebbles, probes encapsulated by biology-localized embedding, were also experimental. Nano-sized beads full of poison and coated with a special light-sensitive chemical. Once injected into her bloodstream, the pebbles made their way to her brain, where they snuggled up to the tumor, a stubborn monster that had, after a few dozen rounds of chemo and radiation, refused to die. When activated by an optic probe, the beads were supposed to release their deadly payload. So far, after 4 tries, hers had not. Even though the doctors had reloaded her brain with enough pebbles to run a few dozen pinball machines. You have to give it time, Alexandra. That's so easy for you to say. You've got time. Aunt Hannah, it's been 2 years since they found the thing. Nothing's worked. Granted, but the tumor's growing relatively slowly. Dr. Barrett said you could go several more years, and by then there will be new drugs. Or there might not be. I just can't do this anymore. She expected an explosion on the other end, but there was only dead air. The silence spun out so long, Alex thought their connection had dropped. Aunt Hannah? I'm here. Pause. When did you decide? After my appointment with Barrett last week. Why now? Because my left hand shakes, Alex thought. Because I can't smell anything. Because I've got a head full of teeny tiny little rocks that aren't working, and that means more regular chemo and radiotherapy. And I am so sick of losing my hair and puking my guts out for nothing, and doing schoolwork in bed, and I'm not going into some hospice, because for once, I'm calling the shots. But what she said was, I don't think there will be a better time. I need to do this while I still can. More silence. I imagine the school will ask after you. Dr. Barrett will have a stroke. Privately, she thought Barrett might be relieved. No more having to look on the bright side. What are you going to say? I'll think of something inventive. Will you call? When I make it back, she said, unsure if this was a promise she would make, that she would keep. To the car, I mean. Once I'm in the... What the fuck is that word? Once I'm in the Wakama, there's no cell coverage. And what am I supposed to do? Hang a lantern from a tower? Twiddle my thumbs? Take up knitting? When Alex didn't reply, her aunt continued. I've half a mind to call the police and have you dragged back. What's the other half? Say. That you're stubborn? That once you've made up your mind, there's no talking to you? Her aunt paused. And that I'm not sure I blame you. That it's not the same as saying that what you're doing is right, but I understand. Thanks. Don't mention it, her aunt sighed. Oh, Alex. Do be careful, all right? Try to come back in one piece. I'll be okay. It's not like I've never backpacked before. It's not your competence I question. Make a fire, live off the land, build a house out of twigs and chewing gum. So like your father. If the bloody zombies attack, you're set. Thanks, she said, against the pricks of tears. Crying was not the way she wanted this to end. I should probably go. I love you, Aunt Hannah. Oh, you bloody little fool, her aunt said. Don't you think I know that? They never spoke to each other again. Aunt Hannah, why you gotta jinx everything? Damn! I expect. I forgot you said you'd read this like weeks ago. Yep. So that's the prologue for the most part. Oh, man, I'm telling y'all should never jinx yourself. You should never be like, oh, yeah, so ever happened, blah, blah, ha, and then that shit happens, and then you gotta eat your fucking words and die. Like, hello? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't bring it into existence, because, look, she said it, and now they're fucked. They on the phone? Yeah, they were talking on the phone. So, basically, what just happened was that we are in the time where Alex is now she's like right now at the gas station, and her aunt called her, finally noticed that she was missing and called her, and they had this conversation being like, arguing back and forth about why is she out there, and like, you're sick, you need to come back, and she's like, no, I gotta do this, blah blah. So right now, this is right before Alex is about to go hiking up the mountain, and when the real story starts. So that's where we are right now. And as they've foreshadowed, they're never seeing each other again. Bye-bye, Aunt Hannah. Just like, rest in peace. Part 1, The Mountain. So, what do you guys think so far? That's just the prologue. So far, what we know about Alex, she is a dying teen who is also an orphan, who has given up on medical treatment and is deciding that she's just gonna live the rest of the time that she has left, because she's tired of taking all the medications, the chemotherapy, and all that shit. But while she's still strong, she does want to do her parents' final wish. Could be cool. Yeah, so to run you up on that spec, that's what happened in the prologue. So you're right on time, fam. So now she's now in the mountains in chapter 1. 4 days later, Alex perched on a knuckle of bone-cold rock and whittled an alder branch to a toothpick as she waited for her coffee water to boil. A stiff wind gusted in from the northwest, wet and cold. Trying to see motherfuckers die, though? Oh my god! I'm crying, Bubba. It's alright. Alright, Bubba. You said it's alright right now. I'm crying. People are about to drop like flies in a few. Like I said, you might think this is the type of book where it's like, oh yeah, man, like, shit's gonna happen halfway in the book. Hell no. Hell no. Get ready. 4 days later, Alex perched on a knuckle of bone-cold rock and whittled an alder branch to a toothpick as she waited for her coffee water to boil. A stiff wind gusted in from the northwest, wet and cold. Far below, the Moss River sparkled with sun dazzle, a glittering ribbon that wound through a deep valley of leafless hardwoods, silver blue spruce, and the darker greens of dense hemlock and feathery white pine. The chilly air smelled chilly, which is to say that for Alex. It really smelled like nothing at all, which Alex was pretty used to, having not smelled anything for well over a year. The cold was a surprise, but then she'd never hiked the Waccamaw in late September either. The Waccamaw wilderness had always been a summer adventure with her parents when pesky no-see-ums, blood-sucking mosquitoes, and heat that could melt a person to a sweat puddle were her biggest problems. Now she was crunching over brittle ice and skidding on frost-covered roots in bare rock every morning. The going was treacherous, each step an invitation to turn an ankle. The farther north and the closer to Lake Superior she got, still 2 days in the future, and nothing but a hazy purple smear smudging the horizon, the greater the risk of bad weather. She could just make out to the very far west beneath a slate layer of clouds, the feathery, blue-gray swirls of rain blowing south. But for her, the way ahead was nothing but blue skies. A day that promised to be crisp and picture perfect, and something she was pretty sure her parents would have loved, if only she could remember who they were. In the beginning, there had been smoke. She was 15 and an orphan by then, which was kind of sucky, although she had a year to get over it already. When the smoky stink persisted and there was no fire, her aunt decided Alex was having one of those post traumatic things and shipped her off to a shrink, a complete Gestapo wannabe who probably wore black stilettos and beat her husband. Ah, those are smoke. This is a reputation. Reputation. What? Why is it repetition? Okay, I gotta write the first time. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, repetition of your parents' crush, yeah. Oh, hold on. All right, I am back. Uh, what's this about the real ones? I did not go to the bathroom. Get out. Speech 100. I'm crying. What's up, Francis? Where everyone went, I guess they saw reading and said, fuck that. They'll be fine. Reading's good for y'all, and I'm doing the reading for y'all. I'm reading it out for y'all. Crying. Hi, Bunch. What's up? I would put some atmospheric music in the background, but I honestly don't know what to use. Technically, I could possibly use Last of Us music because it basically gives the same vibe, but just to keep things, chill or whatever, I'm not do that. Like, listen, I brought the idea to a lot of y'all. A lot of y'all said, yeah. And well, if you ain't here for it, that's fine. You could always just check the recording back after. Oh, all right. Also, there's other people to watch anyway. So yeah. So for those of you who don't know what's going on, Francis, I am reading. All right, broski, I'm gonna pop into PG stream. I'll be back. Oh well, never mind. See you later, Francis. And I guess I'll update Punch. We are reading post-apocalyptic story. This is based on a world where a electromagnetic attack happens and kills a majority of the population. The three types of people who survive after are the type that have become more. The first type being more animalistic and now has a taste for human flesh, so cannibalistic, but they are not dead and they do not have a virus. What basically happens is that this electromagnetic attack was so strong that not only did it cut off all electricity in all cars and anything that was mechanical with electricity running through it, whatever, technical and stuff like shit like that was screwed up, but humans' biology was screwed up. So you know how electricity runs through our heads and in our brains and shit? Well, just imagine that shit was so strong it affected that and short-circuited and mollywopped a bunch of people. Rest in peace, all them people. But then some of them hot-wired their brain and changed them where they became more animalistic and now had a sense of taste for their brethrens. So, yeah. And then the other last two people who survived were people where they survived and nothing really happened to them. They were completely fine after. Now they just have to fend in this new world where there is hungry ass people, which sucks because this is like a lot of the people that turned into the monsters were younger children because a lot of the kids didn't die during the attack. The mother of all EMPs, basically, big ass EMP. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the kids didn't die because of course their brains can take a lot more hit, but a lot of them did get hot wired to be more, hungry. So imagine you survive that shit and then your 3-year-old baby's all like and like trying to chew off your arm type shit. So that's basically what's happening. A lot of people like 30 and under or 25 and under were affected. You could be an infant and the infant would be hungry type shit. So there was that. But a lot of the people older than that age unfortunately passed away. And surprisingly, the elders, I think old people survived that. So it was mainly like middle-aged adults that passed away. Fuck them kids, bro. That's exactly what everybody said in this book. They said, fuck them kids. They said, nigga, I'm looking out for myself. Exactly, especially because this is a war. It's interesting because this is like a war against basically old and the young. And, shit just goes off. Shit pops off because of that. So, yeah, so we are following 3 characters that you see on screen that I kind of doodled. I honestly don't remember how they really look like. I haven't read this book since sophomore year, so this is very a rough idea of how they looked. The only one I kind of remember kind of accurately was Ellie. So we are following three characters: Ellie, Alex, and Tom. Ellie is an 8-year-old who was out, and the scene is up in the mountains because this takes place. The POV mainly will be on Alex, who is a cancer patient, 17-year-old cancer patient that decides that she's not taking any more treatments and has given up given up to the tumor that she has in her head. So one of her last wishes that she decides to do for her already passed away parents is to run their ashes across the, what was it, Great Superior River or Lake or some shit. Before she isn't able to do that anymore. She isn't physically able to do that anymore. Because she refuses to take any more treatment. She's like, man, fuck this. I'm just gonna die. Like, this is just a miserable life. And then there's the other two, which is Ellie and Tom. They were also hiking in that mountain at the time. Ellie being an 8-year-old who went with her grandpa, and Tom who went with one of his other veteran friends. So they are all going to end up teaming together to survive this new world. Because what's interesting about this perspective is that, a lot of zombie apocalypse movies, a lot of the zombie apocalypse stories usually happen in like the suburban area or maybe the countryside or in the city. This is in the mountains, bitch. This is so far away. This shit is far, far. Like, so when this shit happens, at first you would think, oh, like, not a lot of shit's gonna happen. Fuck no. You know how people talk about how, like, like when you go, like, what happens in the mountains, basically stay in the mountains. Like, you see some crazy shit. There's some crazy ass people in the mountains, all types of stuff going on. And as they as they're like exiting out of the mountains, even more crazy shit's happening on the countryside as well. So that's what they're going to be dealing with. And remember, a lot of old people survived. So what do you think they're going to be running into? A lot of old people. And because they're all young, what the old people going to do? Hey, shoot them. Like, they're going through a lot of shit. They're going to be going through a lot of shit. Pretty much Cotton Eye Joe for the fuck up. Crying Francis. Okay, Francis was here for the explanation. Good. So y'all are caught up, right? So far in the book, I have read the prologue, and I have just started reading chapter 1. Prologue was that Alex got a call from her aunt when the aunt noticed that Alex was missing from the house. So basically, Alex explains to her, I'm not coming back home until I do what needs to be done, which is the aunt knows what she's about to do because the urns are missing. She's going to spread her parents' ashes in the Great Superior Lake. Old people smell. No, get out. So that was the call, and she says, yeah, I'll be back in 12 days because that's how long it takes to hike to it and then back, and I'll see you then. She is not seeing them. They are never seeing each other again. Bye-bye, Aunt Hannah. You were loved. She was honestly precious. I already loved that lady, and it was the prologue. We ain't seeing her ass ever again. Bye, Aunt Hannah. Spread her... What? Ashes! Ashes! Her parents are dead! She's an orphan. Damn. Ashes. The name of the book is Ashes, sir. Ashes. Not ass cheeks. Damn. Why did your brain go there, Francis? You said necrophilia? No, Spike. No, not ass cheeks. Oh, Lord. No, Hound. I'm crying. Oh, my God. All right. Anyway, so, thanks for following Kid Cube Venom. Welcome to the palace. I hope you enjoy your stay here, fam. But, yeah. So, the chapter 1, I'll actually reread this part because I didn't go too far in. Oh, wait, actually, I'm not going to reread that part. Let's just say she's in the mountains now. It's been 4 days. She's 4 days into hiking up the mountains. And she's reminiscing about her life so far, which is the fact that she is basically retelling us how she developed her cancer. Oh, Hound, you weren't here for the explanation? Hold on. I got you. This is the book Ashes. Is this the book you told me about? Yes, Zombie Apocalypse. I'm reading it now. I just finished the prologue and I'm reading the first chapter just now. I'm dead, O'Meal. Alex's parents. No! Get out! Get out! Get out! Fuck yeah! Alright. Strap down, my friend. Strap down. So I'm gonna reread chapter 1 for you guys. Just because, yeah. So, give me a sec. Water. Alright, water is taken. Alright, so let's reread. So anyway, 4 days later, Alex perched on a knuckle of bone-cold rock and whittled on an alder branch to a toothpick as she waited for her coffee water to boil. A stiff wind gusted in from the northwest, wet and cold. Far below, the Moss River sparkled with sun-dazzle, a glittering ribbon that wound through a deep valley of leafless hardwoods, silver-blue spruce, and the darker green of dense hemlock and feathery white pine. Honestly, I wish I could draw that, but, like, I honestly don't even know what half of that shit is. It sounds beautiful, but I don't know what that shit is. I don't go hiking. The chilly air smelled chilly, which is to say that, for Alex, it really smelled like nothing at all. Which Alex was pretty used to, having not smelled anything for well over a year. The cold was a surprise, but then she'd never hiked the Waccamaw in late September either. The Waccamaw Wilderness had always been a summer adventure with her parents when pesky no-see-ums, bloody mosquitoes, and heat that could melt a person to a sweat puddle were her biggest problems. Now she was crunching over brittle ice and skidding on frost-covered roots and bare rock every morning. The going was treacherous, each step an invitation to turn an ankle. The farther north, and the closer to the Lake Superior she got, still 2 days in the future, and nothing but a hazy purple smear smudging the horizon, the greater the risk of bad weather. She could just make out, to the very far west, beneath the slate layer of clouds, the feathery, blue-gray swirls of rain blowing south. But for her, the way ahead was nothing but blue skies. A day that promised to be crisp and perfect, picture perfect, and something she was pretty sure her parents would have loved. If only she could remember who they were. Let me see. All right. You guys are having your conversation. In the beginning, there'd been Smoke. She was 15 and an orphan by then, which was kind of sucky, although she had a year to get over it already. When the smoky stink persisted and there was no fire, her aunt decided Alex was having one of those post-traumatic things and shipped her off to a shrink. A complete Gestapo wannabe who probably wore black stilettos and beat her husband. Ah, Zosa Smoke. This is a repetition of your parents' crash, yeah? Only the shrink was also pretty smart and promptly shipped Alex off to Barrett, a neurosurgeon who found the monster. Of course, the tumor was cancerous and inoperable, so she got chemo and radiation, and her hair and eyebrows fell out. The upside, her legs and pits never needed shaving. The downside was that the anti-nausea drugs didn't work, so just her luck. And she puked about every 5 minutes, driving the bulimics at school a little nuts because she was like this total pro. In between treatments, she stopped puking, and her hair, rich and red as blood, grew back. A chronic headache muttered in her temples, but like Barrett said, no one ever died from pain. True, but some days you didn't much enjoy living either. Eventually, the smell of smoke went away, but so did the smell of everything else, because the monster didn't shrivel up, but continued, silently growing and munching. What no one warned her about was that when you had no sense of smell at all, a lot of memories fizzled, like the way the smell of pine tree conjured a quick memory snapshot of tinsel and Christmas lights and a glittery angel, or the spice of nutmeg and buttery cinnamon made you flash to a bright kitchen, and your mother humming as she pressed pie crust into a glass dish. With no sense of smell, your memories dropped like pennies out of a ripped pocket, until the past were ashes and your parents were blanks. Nothing more than the holes in Swiss cheese. Get out, Punch, get out. Yeah, right. She's like, at least I'm hairless. Like, a bitch's legs is smooth. Like, huh? Looks like shit's gonna get hairy. Get out, Speg. No, Punch, get out. No, not fun a nut. Wait. That life is strange vocabulary, right? I never went too deep in Life is Strange, but it did have some vocabulary from the journals I read from the first episode I saw. Uh, Relaxation for me. I'm crying. All right, so continuing on. All right. A stuttering beat, something between a lawnmower and a semi-automatic rifle, broke the silence. A moment later, she spotted the plane, a white, single-prop job, buzzing over the valley, heading north and west. Her eyes dropped to her watch. 10 minutes to 8. Sucker was right on time. After 4 days, she decided it was the same plane that made it twice daily run, a little before 8 every morning, and about 20 minutes after 4 every afternoon. She could pretty much set her watch by the guy. The buzz of the plane faded, and the quiet descended again, like a bell jar over the forest. The hollow thuck, thuck, thuck of a woodpecker drifted up from the valley far below. A trio of crows grated to one another in the pines, and a hawk carved a lazy spiral against the sky. She sipped her coffee, heard herself swallow. The coffee smelled and tasted like nothing, just hot and brown. Then something, a soft tan blur, moved out of the corner of her mouth, off to the right. She tossed a quick glance, not expecting anything more exciting than a squirrel or maybe a chipmunk. So the dog was, well, kind of a surprise. All right. So maybe we can doodle up her sitting at her little campfire, just chilling, drinking her coffee. Her hot cocoa. We all immersed right now? Oh, y'all immersed, huh? Who said they weren't feeling it earlier? Bobo, you still ain't feeling it? It seems pretty chill to me right now. Let me see. So let's see. We're gonna maybe do like. Actually, before that. Nigga, I'm feeling the waves. I'm crying. Let's gather around the campfire. God. Got an idea? What's your idea? You know what? Let me make this skinnier because I think it would be better, much better in detail if it wasn't so thick. Yeah. Chill and immersed. Okay, Boba. Campfire song. Look at Yuki. I'm crying. Get out, Francis. So, oh, you know what? So while I do this, I should actually have music playing for these parts. So let me actually get a playlist and get my headphones. Yeet. All right. So let me make this full screen real quick. Hmm. Is it actually gonna give me something good for this? Or maybe, let me see. Yeah. Feel that music, people. Yeah. Put spooky music? Not for this scene. When things get spooky, I'll put the spooky music. Check Discord. Oh, I turned that shit off. Look at Alex standing over there in the mountains. Get out, Spec. He's sitting there in the mountains. Look at her. Hold on, I'm checking. Discord's loading for me right now. So I'm assuming she probably have those tin cans that you kind of use, type shit. So we're just gonna do. Alright, Discord is loaded. Yeet. Damn, 9 messages. Hold on. Redo. Oh, so you think I should turn Re and Draw into a podcast as well? Okay. Why don't we fuse that with Draw Pile in the first place as like one of the things that we do, like different type of variations we do in the Draw Pile podcast. Putting a nut again? Excuse me? Closing my eyes right now. What 1820 white woman? Wait, what? With a parasol of flowers? What kind of music is this? Oh shit! Oh fuck! I feel like I'm in a shotlet next to the campfire right now. She probably wearing blue bottom pump James Monroe shoes. No! Get out! This is the campfire. She's rugged. She's mean. She's chillin'. I was already tired. I'm about to pass out. Oh no, bored. I'm so sorry. Got me on a bus. What? This is a vibe though. I'm really about to pass out. Oh shit. Yo, I warned y'all. I can make shit where you go to sleep. So like she finna confess she got high one time and that she was so bad. Oh no, her regret. I'm crying. Oh, get out, hound. Cause I know. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think she would already put her hair in a ponytail. I think it's more cool when her hair's down though. I'm gonna put her hair down. I don't know why I gave her muscles for a second. I don't know if she's sitting on a. Let me see. I think was she sitting on something? Let me see. I'm gonna say she's sitting on the floor, but she probably put something under her. She finna tell me some kind of seasonless story, and I ain't trying to fuck with that. Oh no, give her muscles so she could be A-flex. Crying. Honestly, she probably does have muscles because she did say that she was working out for 3 months after she got off of chemotherapy. She said, "Bitch, I'm getting my muscles, huh?" Actually, wasn't something on top to cook the thing? So I'm gonna do this instead. A girdle of some sort, and then Lord, if I do more of these sessions, y'all gonna have to be ready. You can't be tired when I pull up with these draw and reads. Straight up. Y'all never knew my full power until I did this. Quincy, it's nice to see you stream without everyone going buck wild and voice call. Crying, fair enough. Yeah, today I'm doing a draw and read. First ever. So I'm gonna put the pot here. Or maybe it would be more like one of those little thingies right there, right? With the little thing, and then right here, and like that. And then something like that. But probably smaller because she has to hike all this shit. So let me just grab that. Oh shit, no. That's not what I meant to do. About to fall asleep. Good night, y'all. I'm crying, Francis. Yeah, Cake. So if you want to come chill with us and hang while we read a very terrifying story of a world filled with people that you used to love wanting to eat you or have already died from an attack. Her bag's in the background with the utensils and a bunch of stuff hanging off of it because she was really prepared when she went to this thing. So there goes her bag just laying there behind her, and maybe she has like a little blanket she's sitting on, not to make sure her butt is dirty. Quincy, Alex or Clementine? Well, they're in two different worlds, so I like Alex and Clementine. Same way he said, crying. Because if they had similar world scenarios, then I'd pick, but they have two different issues and two different advantages to the worlds they live in. What? Bro. That's another thing. Alex dealt with countryside bullshit, while Clementine dealt with all of the bullshit. So it's not really a fair advantage. I don't know how Alex would be in a city or other like suburban situation and shit like that. So I don't think it's fair for me to say otherwise. I think she has something on her wrist too, but I don't remember if it was a watch or something. I think it's a watch. So she does have a watch on her wrist. So we're just gonna shade that in. So yeah, there goes Alex in the woods. I'm crying, Francis. Thank you for the 101 bitty bits. Crying. Yeah, I'm gonna just shade that in between and there, and yep, this is like the messiest sketch ever, but it works. And there she goes in the forest. Alex by the campfire. So now we're going to pause the music and continue on reading. So now she's sipping on that potion. Can you ask her if I could get some? Get out! It is not the potions there. Ilsa should make some clouds of smoke. Kind of softly erase that too. Wait. Gosh darn it, autosave. Crying. Honestly, she does need some liquor in her life, though. Not even gonna lie. Yep. So there goes the billowing smoke. Same with the coffee she is drinking. And yeah, there goes her in the woods, enjoying a piece of coffee that she cannot even smell. So next. Damn, it's already gotten so hot, bro. Anyway, chapter 2. She froze. The dog was lean but muscular, with a broad chest, black mask, and sable markings. It looked like a German shepherd, but was much smaller, so maybe not full grown. A bright blue pack was snapped around the dog's middle, and a length of choke chain winked around its neck. From somewhere down the trail came the faint scuffle of leaves. The dog's ears swiveled, though its dark eyes never left Alex. Then a man's voice drifted over the rise. "Mina, you got something, girl?" Wait, why did I say it like that? "You got something, girl?" The dog let out a low whine, but didn't budge. "Hello?" Her throat was very dry, and the words came out more like a croak. She slicked her lips, tried swallowing past a tongue suddenly as rough as sandpaper. Could you call your dog?" The man's voice came again. "Oh my god, I'm sorry. Don't worry, she won't hurt you. Mina, down, girl." The dog, Mina, instantly obeyed, sinking to its belly. That was encouraging. The dog didn't look half as ferocious laying down. "She down?" the man called. "And if she wasn't, then what?" "Uh-huh." "Excellent. Hang on. We're almost." A moment later, a weedy man with a thatch of white hair labored over the rise, a walking stick in his right hand. He was dressed like a lumberjack, right down to the black turtleneck beneath a red flannel shirt. A sheathed hatchet dangled from a carry loop attached to the frame of his back. Damn, he legit looked like a lumberjack. He had the hatchet and everything. The girl, a kid with blonde pigtails. Oh, she had pigtails? Oh, shit. Was a step or two behind. A pink Hello Kitty day pack was strapped to her back, and she wore both a matching pink parka and a scowl. A pair of white earbuds was screwed into her ears, the volume so loud that Alex caught the faintest thump of bass. You know what? Because these are the main characters, I might need to sketch out the descriptions of how they look so I remember. Because they only tell you once. So, Mina, the dog. Mina, the dog. They said that she was, let's see. Where is the description? I already lost it. What? Oh, there it is. So, lean but muscular dog. Raiko, song request isn't on right now. But hey, what's up? So, lean but muscular dog. I'm guessing the dog anatomy type shit because I honestly don't be looking at dogs like that. So hopefully this is right for dog anatomy. Oh shit, I forgot how dog legs. The back leg. I think it's the same shit, right? Hopefully, I don't know. You'll be fine, Raiko. All right, so that would be kind of like a basic dog. And they said that she looks like a German Shepherd but smaller. So let me get a reference of a German Shepherd real quick. German Shepherd. Images. Oh shit, she that dog. Oh shit. Because they look like that. Muscular, but what did you? So broad chest, muscular, but lean with muscle. Bright blue pack was snapped around the dog's middle. So first of all, we're just gonna erase that. And I was basically right about the back leg. And just gonna merge that together. Do. So don't mind me as I try and shade in this part of the dog. And then no, whoa, dope. You know what's fucked up? I actually forgot her breed, and I had been imagining her when I first read this book as a black dog, just complete black dog. No idea what was the breed, just a straight up black dog the whole time. All right, so let me just erase all of this shit. Get out. Something like that is how her shit be looking. So just shade that in. And then and then make the rest balance with that. Do. What in the world? Make it make sense, Quincy. What are you doing? I'm drawing how these characters look now so that we ain't just imagining hee-haw, like these how these niggas look in the book. Close enough. And she got like a big bushy tail. The fuck is... What? What is this tail doing? Alright, we're just gonna do a basic tail like that. This one has like black on the top, so I'm gonna just do that. And mostly black on the back of her too. Let me see. German Shepherd, smaller, not broad chest, black mask, sable markings. I don't know what sable means. I'm just gonna use the ones from from the pictures. So yeah. I don't know what that shit means, but yeah. I'm gonna check chat in a second. I have not been looking at chat, sorry. Ugh. I'm just gonna keep her eyes like that for now. Or some shit. For the most part of the story. So that's gonna be little Mina. Leg like that and like this. Alright, there goes Mina. So let me eat this reference. Alright, let me see. Got the free promo, I see. Exactly. Oh, my neck. I'm crying, Lord. The hugs. What chapter are we on? We on chapter 1. And you have fun with the pizza. Right, go. And then they explained the reason why I'm not gonna draw the granddad as well. Rip granddad. Little girl, pigtails, or unless we need a good description. Nah, fuck granddad. Fuck granddad. Kid with a blonde ponytail. Lord, she is a little shit. So I'm gonna put Mina in the corner. I should actually put music while I'm drawing this, to be honest. Oh shit, did I just yeet Mina? Fuck. Alright. Alright, so next is little Emily. Kid with blonde pigtails. I'm assuming she has like regular bangs. Oh no. This nigga dead, no need to roast him. Oh shit. Listen. Rip grandpa. But I ain't drawing him, cause he really ain't staying that long. I'm sorry. I know that sounds like a spoiler, but I'm sorry. Like, y'all already know. I already said most people yeeted. Out of the people we named, grandpa was not on the list, alright? Fire we hear is grandpa getting creepy. Oh shit, get out, Lord. I'm crying. Not that's hot. Get out. Gosh darn autosave. You know what? I need to save this too. I'm gonna call this Ashes Read RND. Yep, RND. Alright, so wait, where is it? Pigtail 2 step behind. Pink Hello Kitty day pack. So honestly, I'm pretty sure that's just like a backpack of some sort. I'm not about to search up one. I'm just gonna make my own bootleg version of her Hello Kitty bag. Just gonna have like the little. I don't even remember how Hello Kitty. Oh fuck my ear. I don't even know or remember how Hello Kitty really looks like. Some shit like this, right? And this. So there goes that, and then we're just gonna put like a little flap on it. Some sort. So there goes her bag. Let me see. Backpack right here. Backpack strand right here. Strapped to her back, she wore both a matching pink parka and a scowl. I forgot what parkas look like a little bit, but I'm assuming it's the same one that Clementine had back in season 1. And yeah, mainly season 1, I think. So there goes Emily's angry ass. And when we first meet her, she has AirPods in or whatever. But honestly, that shit ain't gonna work in a minute anyway, so I'm not even gonna draw them. Emily, the brat. So there goes Emily. Hi, Moz. Too many people streaming right now. Oh my god, right? It is Saturday. What's up? Today we're doing a draw and read. So right now I'm just drawing everyone that we're going to come across that are going to be important. Sounds interesting. Yep. I'm gonna make it a heart because I imagine she'd wear heart earrings. Alright, so we have Emily, the little shit. And I think that's all they give us for her description for now. So that's all we have about Emily so far. So back to Alex sipping her coffee. Let's get back into it. And just to catch you up, Moms, we are reading Ashes, a post-apocalyptic story. Or actually an apocalyptic story because they even show us the beginning all the way through. So the first book is an apocalyptic. Second book is post-apocalyptic. Second and third book are post-apocalyptic. So yeah, we are following 3 different people who run into each other up in the mountains when they were all on their own different hiking trip. When the biggest EMP had ran through the entire world and killed a huge population of the world. EMP, it's an electromagnetic pulse. It usually will basically shut down all technology, anything that runs with electricity and such. So yeah. So it was so powerful that not only did it do what a usual EMP will do, but it had affected everyone's literal brains because, our brains run through the electricity. So a lot of the population basically got their fuse blown, and that's why they died. But the ones that could withstand it and handle it and was able to survive after, 3 different type of people emerged that survived. There was the people who were completely okay after it, but then there were also people, which was usually younger children, younger people, just in general, just younger people who had got hot-wired and now they had animalistic instincts and behaviors and now had a taste for human flesh, so they became cannibals. No, they are not dead. No, they do not have a virus, but their little brain chemistry got fucked from the electricity. And then there is the people who, yes, same as the first people who survived. However, they also obtained a new ability because their brain got a little hot-wired as well. They don't have a taste for human flesh. However, they do now have some sort of superhuman senses. Might actually buy this book? Totally, bro. I bought this book and I love it. I need to buy the other 2. God, I never got to finish the 3rd one. 3rd book was wilding out. I did not know how to feel. I was having a crisis in my life. I was like, I don't know if I should cry. I'm scared about this ending. Please, everyone, live. Like, fuck. So anyway, continuing on with this story. Yeah, this shit fucks you up, bro. Okay, so to give y'all a quick recap of what Emily looks like, she is a kid with blonde pigtails, has a pink Hello Kitty day pack, and she also has a pink parka to match with a mean face. Immerse, y'all? Exactly. She has a pair of white earbuds right now in her ears, and she has that shit blasted the fuck up. So, yeah. So, a pair of white earbuds was screwed into her ears. Oh, let me turn off the music. The volume so loud that Alex caught the faintest thump of bass. Hey there, the old guy said. He nodded at Alex's coffee press, smelled that halfway down the trail, and decided to follow my nose. Only Mina beat me to it. He stuck out a hand. Jack Craneford. This is my granddaughter, Ellie. Ellie, say hello. Hi, said the girl, colorlessly. Alex thought she was maybe 8 or 9 and already had way too much tude. The kid's head bobbed the tiniest bit with the throb of her music. Hey, Alex said. She didn't make a move to take the old guy's hand, not only because this guy with his hatchet and a dog and sullen granddaughter was a complete stranger, but because the way the dog stared made her think that it would be just as happy to take her hand first. The old guy waited, his smile wobbling a bit, and a question growing in his eyes. When Alex didn't volunteer anything else, he shrugged and took his hand back and said genuinely, "That's okay. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't trust me either. And I'm sorry about Mina. I keep forgetting there are a couple pack of wild dogs in the Waccamaw. Must have scared the bejesus out of you." "That's okay," she lied, and thought, "Wild dogs?" The silence stretched. The kid bobbed and looked bored. The dog began to pant, his tongue unfurling in a moist pink streamer. Alex saw the old guy's eyes flick from her to the tent and back. "Oh shit, she got a tent out here? Let me draw that real quick. Shit, she got a whole tent out here, fam. We're gonna put her tent like right there. Yeah. There goes her little tent." There you go. She got them AirPods, exactly. Let me see. Oh, my neck. Alright. So Alex saw the old guy's eyes flick from her to her tent and back. He said, "You always talk so much?" "Oh, well, how come adults got away with saying things that would sound rude coming out of her mouth?" She groped for something neutral. "I don't know you." "Fair enough. Like I said, I'm Jack, that's Ellie, and that's Mina. And you are?" "Alex." Pause. "Adair." She wanted to kick herself. Answering had been a reflex, the way you didn't ignore a teacher. "Pleased to meet you, Alex. Should have known you had a wee bit of the Irish with those leprechaun eyes and that red mane. Don't run into many Irish in these parts. I live in Evanston." Like that answered something. But my dad was from New York." What was she doing? The old guy's left eyebrow arched. "I see. So, you by yourself up here?" She decided not to answer that one. "I didn't hear your dog." "Oh, well, I'm not surprised. That's her training kicking in, I'm afraid. Actually, she's not mine, technically. She belongs to Ellie here." "Grandpa," the kid did the eye roll. "Now, Ellie, you should be proud," Jack said. To Alex, Mina's a Malinois. What? Actually, Belgian Shepherd. She's a WMD, working military dog. He used to work bomb detection, but she's retired now. He tried on a regretful smile, but that didn't quite make it to his eyes. "She belonged to my son, Danny, Ellie's dad. KIA, Iraq about a year ago." The girl's lip drew down, and an edge of color flirted from the angle of her jaw. But she said nothing. Alex felt a little ping of sympathy for the kid. "Oh, well, she's a really nice dog," which as soon as she heard the words leaving her mouth made her cringe. She knew how awkward people got when they found out you'd lost a parent. Even the word made it feel like somehow it was your fault. The girl's eyes, pallid and silver, slid from Alex's face to the ground. "She's just a stupid dog." "Ellie," Jack began, then bit back whatever else he'd been about to say. "Please take out your earplugs now. You're being rude. Besides, it's too loud. You're going to ruin your hearing." Again with the eye roll, but the kid uncorked her ears and let the buds dangle around her neck. Another awkward silence, and then Alex said impulsively, "Look, I just made coffee. Would you guys like some?" The girl gave her a duh, hello, I'm a kid look, but Jack said, I'd love a cup, Alex. We can even make a contribution, Jack winked. You won't believe this, but I packed in some Krispy Kremes. Grandpa, the girl said. We were saving them. That's okay, Alex put in quickly. I just had We are having donuts. Jack's tone took on an edge, and Alex heard the ghosts of a lot of old arguments. Sure, that would be great, Alex chirped. So cheerily she sounded like Alvin on speed. I love donuts. They're probably stale, said Ellie. Ellie, if you don't calm the fuck down. Chapter 3. The Krispy Kremes were stale. She still got texture, but dunked fine. To Alex, they tasted like wet paste. I used to take a French press, only this time I forgot to grind the beans beforehand. Jack dumped powdered creamer into his mug and stirred. Ended up smashing the beans with my axe. Ellie broke off another bite of a chocolate dipped with sprinkles, flipping the morsel expertly to the dog, who snapped it up in midair. Isn't that like being totally addicted? Jack colored. Alex felt sorry for the old guy and said, I'd have done the same thing. Ellie gave her a withering look, but Jack only chuckled. Well, I wouldn't recommend it. That coffee was so strong, my teeth curled. Ellie, honey, that donut's going to make Mina sick. Chocolate's not good for dogs. She's fine, Ellie said, and flipped no donut to the dog. Alex changed the subject. So where are you guys from? Minneapolis, Jack said. I used to be a reporter, foreign correspondent from the trip. Haven't been able to write a lick since Danny died. My editor's tearing his hair out. Seeing as how he's already bald, that's kind of a challenge. But he's a good guy. Ellie snorted. Is that why you call him a jerk every time you get off the phone? What was with this kid? My English teacher said that a writer is the worst judge of his own work, said Alex. Maybe. Mostly. I don't much believe in my writing anymore. People don't care. Most have the attention span of gnats and can't be bothered. Like that baloney about combat operations in Iraq being over? What a crock. It's political. What they don't tell you is that the guy's still over there. The rules of engagement are the same, and there's plenty of shooting. Breaking off, Jack sighed. They ran a hand through a swirl of snowy white cowlick. Hold on, I need to drink some water. Wait. Yeah, this little shit's like, Grandpa. Like, what? Like, little girl, if you don't shut up. Grandpa. Sorry. That makes me sound angry and bitter. I'm not, it's just... Well, you ought to be mad, Ellie said with sudden heat. My dad's dead, but no one's going to jail. He gets blown up, and all I get is a stupid dog. How come that is? Now, Ellie, we talked about this. In a war. A war? What kind of answer is that? The girl hurled the rest of her donut at the dog. Surprised, the dog retreated a few steps and darted an anxious look at Jack. Alex couldn't help herself. You ought to be nicer to your grandfather. He isn't doing anything to you. Who cares what you think? You're not my mother. I don't know you. Ellie kicked at Alex's windprow. The tiny stove overturned, and the coffee press tumbled to the rocks in a spray of glass and hot liquid. The dog danced out of the way with a startled yip. No one asked you. Ellie! Jack made a grab for his granddaughter. That's enough. I hate this. Ellie slithered out of the reach. I hate this. I hate you. I hate these woods. I hate everybody. Just leave me alone. Like, damn, Ellie. Cool off, Jack rapped, his patient finally snapping. Go for a walk. Get control of yourself. You understand me? Fine, Ellie spat. She jammed in her earbuds and stalked in the direction of the trail Alex had traveled the day before. The dog began to trot after, but the girl hurled a command over her shoulder. Stay! The dog faltered, then took another uncertain step after the girl. Ellie fetched up a stick and cocked it like a baseball bat. Stay, you dumb dog, stay! Ellie, Jack roared. Don't you dare hit that dog. Mina, come. As the dog sprinted back, Jack said to the girl, "Sweetheart, honey, why do you have to be so hateful?" "Why not?" Ellie said. "It's not like being good ever got me anywhere." Then she whirled on her heel and flung herself into the woods. Golly, Ellie. It's been a very hard year. With her mother gone, God knows where, and my Mary passed on, it's just me, Jack said. He cupped a handful of jagged glass. "Look, I'll be happy to pay for this." No, it's okay, I understand, Alex said. But she was pissed. Jack was nice enough, but she had her own problems, and now, no coffee press. Thank God she packed instant. She inspected her windprow and almost groaned. Two of the struts were bent, and she didn't like the way the fuel hose was kinked. With her luck, she'd have to take a rock to the metal, maybe bash it straight. "Careful you don't cut yourself, Jack." "Oh, I'm pretty tough for an old bird." "Well, I'll accept my ticker. Got me this new pacer about 6 months ago." Hold on. Ellie needs to get her ass beat? Exactly. Let me see. Jack dumped glass into the empty Krispy Kreme bag. It's Ellie got me worried. She's a little time bomb. I was hoping if I could get away with her a while, maybe do some fishing. People mean well, but there's just so much sympathy a little girl can take. Alex could definitely relate. Everyone was always so sorry, when really, sorry was just a word you said because it was more polite than, "Whoa, better you than me." "Where's her mom?" Jack grunted. "Hell if I know. She took off a year after Ellie was born. Said she needed time to get her head on straight. Needed to find herself. Get herself lost is more like it. Haven't seen her since. You know, the world's screwed up. When they make you get a license, if you want a dog. When they make you get a license if you want a dog, but let any fool have a kid." He sighed. "A lot of this is my fault." "How did you figure that?" Jack waved a hand at the dog, which sprawled on its belly in a doze. "Mina was my idea. Once the dogs are retired, if they're too banged up to work or just plain old, the military lets handlers' families adopt, if you want. Mina was wounded in the same blast that killed Danny, so I thought having her would make Ellie feel better, like having a little bit of her father still around. He loved that dog, but Ellie hates it. She's really not a bad kid. Most of the time she's about as cooperative as you can expect. A sad, really angry 8-year-old girl to be. That doesn't sound so great. You get used to it. I thought it would do her good to unplug and get out in the fresh air, spend some time with Mina." Jack waved away the rest. "Enough of that. So what's your story?" "Me?" Alex gave up trying to force the Windprow's bent struts. "I'm just figuring things out." "Where are you headed?" "Mirror Point." "On Superior? That's pretty damn far. I wouldn't want my daughter out here alone. No telling what might happen." She knew Jack meant well, but one of the perks of being terminally ill was you got to break all kinds of rules. So she pushed back. "Jack, I don't need your permission, and I didn't ask for your opinion." Hold on. Oh, excuse me. "Doesn't mean I'm not going to give it. You kids think you're invulnerable, but there are wild dogs in these woods, and all kinds of nuts. Not to mention old guys poking their noses in other people's business. But that would be too snarky, and she had a feeling that Jack was hassling her because he couldn't fix Ellie. So she focused on dismantling her Windpro and let the silence go. After a moment, Jack reached down to squeeze her shoulder. "Sorry. I know I'm just being an old fart." "Jack," she said, exasperated both with her stove and the conversation. "I appreciate your concern, but it's really none of your—" All of a sudden, Jack's hand clamped down hard enough to hurt. Surprised, she looked up, and then whatever she'd been about to say had evaporated on her tongue when she got a good look at his face. Jack's face twisted in a sudden spasm, and he pressed the heels of both hands to his temple. Wait, wait. Jack! Alarmed, she reached for him, and then she saw the dog. Mina was completely rigid, her muscles quivering, the hackles along her spine as stiff as a mohawk. The dog's black lips curled back to reveal two glistening rows of very sharp, very white teeth, and a growl began somewhere in the dog's chest. Alex felt a stab of fear. Jack, Mina's. Jack gagged, a deep, harshly liquid sound. An instant later, a sudden jet of bright red blood boiled from his mouth to splatter on top of the icy rocks. Alex screamed just as Mina let out a sudden high yelp, and a second later, the pain had Alex too. Chapter 4, the world is going to hell. Whoa, like, oh no, what's going on? Oh. The pain was fire. Oh shit, it's getting real, exactly. Said, nigga, what is that? The pain was fire, a laser that scorched her brain. A sudden metallic chattering bubbled in her ears, and her vision sheeted first red, then glare white, and then she was stumbling, her feet tangling, and she fell. Something wet and hot spurted from her throat and dribbled down her chin. Jack was in just as much trouble, maybe worse. His skin was so chalky that his blood looked fake, like something for Halloween. His legs folded and he began to sag, one hand digging at his chest, then he simply dropped like a puppet whose strings had been cut off. He hit hard, his head bouncing off the rock, and his glasses jumped away, the lenses sparking in the sun. Stunned, she could only sprawl there like a broken doll. Blood pooled in her throat, and she began to cough as her vision spun like water swirling down a drain. That weird metallic screech was still very loud, splashing down from the sky. What was that? Dizzy, a drill bit of pain coursing into her brain. She dragged her head up, struggling to focus. At first she thought she must have been passing out, because the sky was getting blacker and blacker. But then she realized the blackness was moving. Birds. There were birds. Not just a few or a flock, but hundreds and hundreds, thousands. All kinds, all shapes, all sizes. And the birds were everywhere in the sky above and exploding up from the valley below in a spiraling, screaming funnel cloud. They weren't organized, not following the flock does, not following the way a flock does, but smashing into one another, either because there were so many or the pain that had her in its iron grip had them too. Something thudded against her legs. Shrinking, she flinched away as a dying crow tumbled to the rock. One massive wing was bent all the way back, and its black beak had snapped clean off, like lead in a pencil. All around, dead and dying birds began to shower from the sky. There came a loud, inhuman scream. Cringing, Alex darted to look over her shoulder just in time to see a trio of deer crashing up the hill. They hit the ridge and then reared, driving their hooves into the rock with a sound like jackhammers. One, a large doe, let out a harsh, wet, coughing bray, and then blood spurting from its mouth in a crimson halo. The doe reared again, its front legs pedaling, and the other two answered, slicing the air with their hooves. Then the deer surged forward as if pulled toward the edge by an unseen hand. No, no, no. Alex's thoughts came in jagged splinters. No, you're not seeing this. They're not going to, they can't. But they did. The deer catapulted off the ridge and over the cliff into empty space. For an instant they hung, suspended behind the bird-choked sky in the darker maw of the valley. And Alex thought of flying reindeer. But then the real world took over again. Gravity closed its fists. The deer fell, their screams trailing after like a spent comets, and they were gone. Golly! No! So we're gonna just draw this part. Ooh, my head. Ooh, my brain vibrating. Oh, you just joining now, board? What's up? What's good? Yeah, shit's yep. So now we are going to draw the deers yeeting. They said yeet. Oh shit, I forgot what deer heads look like. Whatever. That does not look right. Well, whatever. Thanks for following, Ninja. Welcome to the palace. I hope you enjoy your stay here. And hi, what's good? Right now we are just reading up on a story called Ashes. It is a apocalyptic story where a EMP, electromagnetic pulse, a huge one, had ran through the entire world, killing a majority of the population. And the three surviving types that are thereafter were people who survived it, people who survived it, but because the electricity was so strong, it hot-wired their brain to become more animalistic and now have a craving for human flesh. Mind you, they're not dead and they don't have a virus, but literally think of it where the electricity just fixed them into a different type of mentality. And then the last being humans who not only survived, but gained some sort of human senses, so they were wired a little bit too. So right now we are going through a journey with three people who meet up with one another during this chaos that will have to depend on each other to survive this. Let me see. No, Cynthia just joined. I've been here since the beginning. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, okay. Hi, Cynthia. Yeah, this is the first read and draw session. Right now, I am drawing the part with the reindeers yeeting themselves off the cliff. And then I'm going to probably draw, let's see. I'm going to draw like... Honestly, I think the sun is setting too at this point, isn't it? So imagine just countless of greenery, mountainous greenery, and shit. And these deer are just eating themselves off the cliff. So every time we find an interesting scene, I will basically draw it. Ooh, my leg went to sleep. Is it a book or anime or something? It's a book. It's called Ashes by Isla J. Bick. So basically, I read to you guys, and then when we find an interesting part, we will draw it out before continuing on with the story. As you can see, these dark masses up here are actually a bunch of birds. Because just now, all hell broke loose. So, and then I'm going to put like a dead bird here. Because these birds are dying. What? Leaf? Hello? Alright. Alright, so yeah. Just all hell is breaking loose. People are dropping like flies. The animals are dropping like flies. Just, oh no, you know? What happened in the last 5 minutes or so, I passed the fuck out just now. All hell broke loose. The world is ending. I will reread the last part so that you can be caught up with what just happened, which was, we met the grandpa, we met Emily, and Emily ran off because she's a little shit and she needs to go cool off because she said fuck everybody. And, Alex was hanging out with the grandpa when suddenly, they were just talking about stuff and the grandpa apologized because he was apologizing to her for, being nosy because he was asking too many questions. Or just being in her business, not asking too many questions, just being in her business, really. And suddenly the world started ending. So there goes everything. Let me draw the cliff a bit more defined of some sort. And just kind of. Yep. Just gonna do that. Gonna put some grass on there. There we go. And the deers are eating to their death. All right, so back a little bit, cross my legs. Whoop, whoop. All right, and then there we go. So I'm going to reread chapter 4, because basically this is when all hell breaks loose. I'm going to reread the last part of chapter 3, actually, which is... I've been here since she started, but I haven't been paying attention, damn. So anyway, what's basically happening is that he apologizes, so he says, sorry, I know, I'm just being an old fart. Jack, she said, exasperated both with her stove and the conversation, I appreciate your concern, but it's really none of your... All of a sudden, Jack's hand clamped down, hard enough to hurt. Surprised, she looked up, and then whatever she'd been about to say evaporated on her tongue when she got a good look on his face. Jack's face twisted in a sudden spasm, and he pressed the heels of both hands to his temples. Wait. Jack! Alarmed, she reached for him. And then she saw the dog, Mina. Mina was completely rigid, her muscles quivering, the hackles along her spine as stiff as a mohawk. The dog's black lips curled back to reveal 2 glistening rows of very sharp, very white teeth, and a growl began somewhere in the dog's chest. Alex felt a stab of fear. Mina... Jack gagged, a deep, harshly liquid sound. An instant later, a sudden jet of bright red blood boiled from his mouth to splatter onto the icy rocks. Alex screamed just as Mina let out a sudden high yelp, and a second later, the pain had Alex too. The pain was fire, a laser that scorched her brain. A sudden metallic chattering bubbled in her ears, and her vision sheeted first red and then glare white. And then she was stumbling, her feet tangling, and she fell. Something wet and hot spurted from her throat and dribbled down her chin. Jack was in just as much trouble, maybe worse. His skin was so chalky that his blood looked faked, like something for Halloween. Ooh. His legs folded, and he began to sag, one hand digging at his chest, and then he simply dropped like a puppet whose strings had been cut. He hit hard, his head bouncing off the rock and his glasses jumping away, the lenses sparking in the sun. Stunned, she could only sprawl there like a broken doll. Blood pooled in her throat, and she began to cough as her vision spun like water swirling down a drain. That weird, metallic screech was still very loud, splashing down from the sky. What was that? Dizzy, a drill bit of pain pouring into her brain, she dragged her head up, struggling to focus. At first she thought she must be passing out, because the sky was getting blacker and blacker. But then she realized the blackness was moving. Birds. There were birds. Not just a few or a flock, but hundreds and hundreds, thousands. All kinds, all shapes, all sizes. And the birds were everywhere, in the sky above, exploding up from the valley below in a spiraling, screaming funnel cloud. They weren't organized, not following the way a flock does, but smashing into one another, either because there were so many, or the pain that had her in its iron grip had them too. Something thudded against her legs. Shrieking, she flinched away as a dying crow tumbled to the rock. One massive wing was bent all the way back, and its black beak had snapped clean off, like lead in a pencil. All around, dead and dying birds began to shower from the sky. There came a loud, inhuman scream. Cringing, Alex started to look over her shoulder just in time to see a trio of deer crashing up the hill. They hit the ridge and then reared, driving their hooves into the rock with a sound like jackhammers. One, a large doe, let out a harsh, wet, coughing bray, and then blood burst from its mouth in a crimson halo. The doe reared again, its front legs pedaling, and the other two answered, slicing the air with their hooves. Then the deer surged forward as if pulled toward the edge by an unseen hand. No, no, no. Alex's thoughts came in jagged splinters. No, you're not seeing this. They're not going to. They can't. But they did. The deer catapulted off the ridge and over the cliff into empty space. For an instant, they hung, suspended between the bird-choked sky and the darker maw of the valley. And Alex thought of flying reindeer. But then the real world took over. Gravity closed its fists. The deer fell, their screams tailing after like spent comets, and they were gone. I'm crying, Speck. Not motherfuckers dying. Get out. I should did a backflip. Yeah, like, this is chapter 4, nigga. Like, they said, oh. When we said apocalypse, and we meant it. And I was like, oh shit, okay. You right. My phone really just died when shit popped off, but I'm back. Damn. Well, let's just say birds are dying, falling from the sky. The animals are going crazy. A deer just yeeted himself off the cliff. And Grandpa's dead. Chapter 5. As soon as I cheered for death, my phone said, nah, exactly, that's what you get, Speck. Alright, so chapter 5. A spitz. Yeah? Give me a sec. Yeah? Okay. Ah, shit. My mom went off to go hunting. Rest in peace, that nigga. Woo! Alright. Alright, so, let me see. Oh! Gotta hump my chair forward. Oh, excuse me. And let's get back into it. A split second later, something snapped in her head, an almost physical lurch, as whatever had her by the scruff of the neck let go. The vice around her skull eased. Her stomach instantly rebelled, and she vomited onto the rock. Even when she was sure there was nothing left to bring up, she hung there on all fours, exhausted. A sparkling sensation of pins and needles coursing through her veins and prickling her skin, as if her entire body had fallen asleep, and her brain had only now figured out how to reconnect. Her heart was hammering. The inside of her head felt slushy and bruised, like someone had stuck in a spoon and given a good stir. She was shaky, as if a good walloping dose of chemo had flooded through her veins. A slow ooze wormed down the right side of her neck, and when she swiped at her skin, her fingers came away bloody. Oh my God. She closed her eyes against the lunge of sharp-nailed panic clawing its way out of her chest onto her throat. Take it easy. Take it. Grandpa! Smart readings. No, nigga. What? No, this isn't stuff. This is not smart readings. There is death and agony going on, fam. Death and agony. So to speed you up on what we're doing, this is the first read and draw session. And basically what is happening now is that I am reading the book that everybody voted last time, which is Ashes. Okay. Gotta give myself some oxygen before I start talking about this. Alright, cool. So Ashes is an apocalyptic story based on the fact that there was a giant EMP, electromagnetic pulse explosion that coursed across the entire world, killing the majority of the population. But the three types of people who survived afterward were, one, the people who survived it and now have to deal with the consequences after that happened. Two are the people who had also survived it, however, their brains were hot-wired now, and now they had become more animalistic with animal-like behaviors, with now a new taste for human flesh. No, they are not dead, and no, they don't have any disease, but now they're just different, and now they have a craving for human flesh, and now they can smell you, they have heightened hearing, better eyesight, and they're a lot stronger and faster. Then there is also people who survived it and got hot wired a little bit too, but they don't have a sense of they don't have, like, they're just like the normal people who survive, but now they have a certain superhuman sense that was given to them after this explosion. Let me see. Probably shouldn't have grabbed a bowl of cereal when they started talking about brain matter spilling out of people's heads and dribbling down their necks. Crying's back. Pooh's still going into me. I'm crying. Fallout, Hunger Games, Mad Max, and Adventure Time. Exactly. We're going to be following three people. Main character is Alex for the most part, because we're in her perspective the most in the first book. Three people who are going to have to depend on each other to survive. So the people would be Emily, who is an 8-year-old girl who has no one else now after her grandfather that we just saw got mollywopped passes away. So angry 8-year-old girl. Then we have Alex, who is a 17-year-old with a huge monster of a brain tumor in her head that is not inoperable, and she just decided, man, fuck that shit. I'm just live whatever time left I have, because fuck chemo. She a badass for that shit, I swear. Like, she's like, man, fuck this. And then we have Tom, who is a just recent veteran from the war. So these are the three people who are going to have to depend on each other to survive. And what's interesting about... Hold on. What's interesting about this version is the fact that most zombie apocalypse stuff usually happens in areas where the action is at, cities, suburban neighborhoods in general, like, and small towns for the most part, so well-populated areas. But this one will have to do more of being in the mountains, because when this happened, Alex was actually on her way hiking up the mountains to spread her parents' ashes at Lake Superior. And same with Emily being in the mountains with her grandpa for a trip, and same with Tom going on a trip with his buddy, veteran boy, who was also with him. So that's the different aspect there that they give us with this. And then later on, it's going to be like they're going to deal with even more forestry until, yeah, you know what? A lot of this is in the forest, and then eventually, I think the third book's countryside. Anyway, this is gonna be mountains and forests. So that's the different perspective we're getting from this book, which makes it all types of interesting. So to catch you up, Alex right now is in the mountains, as we've spoken before. She's already been 4 days into this. 4 days into the hiking when the apocalypse happens. She's actually supposed to be out there for 12 days and come back home for school. But that doesn't happen. And when she met Emily with her grandpa, Emily, being a little shit that she is, I drew a description of what we're gonna basically be basing her look off of. And there goes her dog, Mina, who's also gonna be in the story. She is a little girl whose father died in the war and basically hates everyone. Father died in the war. Mother left her when she was born, only a year old. And all she has left to remember her father by is the dog. So she's an angry little shit who said fuck everybody. And dude, this writing prompt is honestly GOAT level writing prompt. This is a whole story, bro. This is a whole book. I'm reading a whole book. But yeah, she hates everyone. Bad money. She become a rebellion leader. She's 8. So unless everyone's listening to an 8-year-old, I don't think so. Time does pass in the story though, but she still won't be old enough to be ruling anything. She won't be leading anything. She won't be leading shit. Yeah. So there's her. Dad died. The plot, bro. I ain't brought no spoilers in. Don't worry. And that's where we at so far. She walked off to take a walk. Grandpa said, "Go get some steam." Grandpa starts talking with Alex. They have a conversation. Grandpa starts getting nosy in Alex's business because that's what old people do. And he apologizes for that after she's like, "Oh, it's not your business, nigga." And when he was going in to apologize, and she was responding back like, "It's okay, but it's none of your business." The world ended. That's when the world started ending. Grandpa stopped moving. He went rigid, and he started throwing up blood, and the dog started going crazy. Then Alex started feeling the pain later on, a little bit later, and then she also was throwing up blood. Then Grandpa clutched his chest and died, and then Alex was able to get up and see what the fuck was going on, and she saw that all the animals in the forest was going crazy, including the birds. The birds were flying and hitting into each other. It was just thousands and thousands of birds in the sky. That cloud that literally covered the sky. So it shadowed the sky, and they were hitting into one another and falling to their death down to the floor. And and then she witnessed one of the deers going batshit crazy and just yeet himself off the cliff, which is what this scene is. So that's what we are at right now. And chapter 5 says about how she, feels blood in the back of her head, and she's like, "Oh fuck." So now we're like, Emily is appearing back again because of course she went off for a walk, so that little girl disappeared for a bit, and I was like, "Oh fuck, that little girl dead." But she came back. I thought she got lost and died, but she came back, and so she's like, "Grandpa," I don't know what the fuck digress really means, but it's a cool phrase I always wanted to use. I'm crying. Magically delicious though. I don't think your cinnamon toast can. What? Crying. Anyway. Ellie groveled on hands and knees at the forest's verge. A slick of blood painted her upper lip. Grandpa! Her voice hitched and rose a notch. Grandpa! Ellie! Alex pushed to sit, but too fast. The world went off, killed her in a woozy tilt. And she had to fight another wave of nausea as her stomach crammed into the back of her throat. Where's my... Ellie's gaze shifted to a point beyond Alex, and then the girl's eyes went buggy, the white showing around motes of silver-blue irises. Grandpa? Alex followed the girl's gaze. Jack was motionless, face down on the rock, a lake of blood widening around his body and a red corona. Grandpa. Ellie began to crawl. Her arm brushed against a dead bird, and she pulled back with a yelp, a gluey frill of bloody feathers matted to the back of her hand. Shuddering, she batted at the mess, her words coming in gasps. Do something. Do something. Do something. Do what? Alex knew CPR. Her doctor mother had made sure of that. But Jack looked pretty dead, and besides he was old and had a pacemaker. And doing CPR on a real person who'd vomited blood? Her stomach did another tidal heave. And what if she brought him back to life, or he had a pulse? What then? She couldn't call for help, and she was days out from her car. Come on, get a grip. Just check and get it over with. Touching Jack made her skin crawl, and she winced at the squelching, sucking sound Jack's body made as she rolled him onto his back. Blood painted his face in a slick mask, still warm enough to stream. His front teeth, bottom and top, had smashed on impact against the rock into a scatter of smeary, squarish bits that looked like chiclets. Staring herself, she pressed her fingers to Jack's throat to check for a pulse. His blood was sticky, and she clamped back on a whimper. Come on, you can do this. Don't lose it. Do something, Ellie said, her hand hooked onto Alex's arm. Please. She caught a quick butterfly flutter beneath her fingers and almost said something incredibly stupid before realizing that was her pulse, not Jack's. She forced herself to give it another few moments to make sure, but she knew Jack was dead. She ought to be sad, but all she felt was relief for the excuse to take back her hand. I'm sorry, Ellie, she said. Smears of drying gore and darker red crescents rimmed her nails, and she was suddenly desperate for a shower, a bath, anything to wash away that creepy crawly feel of Jack's blood. And shouldn't she look for something to cover him up? Maybe something in his pack? I think your grandpa's dead. No, she snuffled blood. Her teeth were orange, and the crotch of her jeans were splotchy and dark. No, you're lying! No, I'm not. God, all she wanted was to get off this crazy mountain back to her car. Hold on. Hey, Jarrells. Well, damn. I am sorry for y'all getting clapped in Apex. What happened anyway? Or a clutch of fear grabbed her chest. What if it happened again? I've got to get out, she thought. The stink of Jack's blood, wet and coppery, bloomed in her nose. And she could smell Ellie now, too. The harsh bite of ammonia, and knew the little girl had peed herself. There was a rancor odor frothing from the girl's skin, too, like she'd forgotten to brush her teeth. Get out, get to my car, and maybe the ranger at the entrance will... And then Alex thought, suddenly, wait, what? She went completely still. So, chapter 6 now. She went absolutely still. No, she was wrong. She had to be. She couldn't smell. The tumor had gobbled that up. But there was blood. She smelled Jack's blood. Ellie had peed herself, and she smelled that. Just now, just this very second. That couldn't be. Must be her imagination, the pain, or the shock, or something. But what if it wasn't? She was almost afraid to try again, but she did. She had to know. As awful as the moment was, she leaned over Jack and pulled in a long, slow, deliberate breath, still thinking, you watch. It's a hallucination. It's one of those phantom brain things. But it wasn't nothing. There it was again. the scent so nearly physical she felt it feathering her nose. She smelt something, and it was... She groped after the comparison. Yeah, it was the scent of wet pennies. Yeah, she can smell again, bro. She can smell again. A split second later, a tiny flashbulb popped in the meat of her brain, and she suddenly saw her little red wagon, the one she left out in the rain, as clear as day. She was so startled she actually flinched. That wagon. How old has she been? 6? No, 7. Because now there comes a series of quicksilver bursts, like the twinkles of fireworks, a brick patio, white roses climbing a trellis, the lazy drone of bees, and then there was her mother. Her mother. Her own beautiful mother, standing next to her dad, and her dad was saying, I guess we thought you being 7 was old enough for you to know how to take care of your things. Dad. Alex pulled in a quick gasp. Air rushed into her mouth and over her tongue, and then she registered sour and sharp char and sweet. Coffee. That was the taste of coffee and the donut. She vomited it all back, and now she tasted it. She could smell. And Alex thought, oh my God. Alex can smell again. Barry had talked about the end, the loss of this function, the death of that ability, and maybe the need for pain management, which was doctor speak for doping you up until you quietly slept to death. But Barrett wasn't sure about that, wasn't sure even about that, because the end might be very quick. The tumor would keep getting bigger and bigger, and there was only so much room up there. Build up enough pressure in that contained space, and her brain would splurt from the base of her skull like toothpaste out of the tube. Then it would be lights out, as everything that kept her ticking, heart, lungs, simply stopped. Mind you, Barrett wasn't positive about anything, because everything was different. You couldn't tell her what to expect because, well, he'd never died. Fair enough, but she was absolutely positive. Barrett had never, ever said anything about how, at the end, she might actually get back what she'd lost, like her sense of smell, like taste, like her dad, her mom. Now, she smelled Jack's blood. Like, right now, she's assuming she's about to die, bro. She's like, oh, shit, I can smell again? Nigga, I'm about to die. Like, she's just waiting to die now. She's like, oh, shit, my end is now. Which is pretty morbid and fucked up, but hey, I guess. There had been those forgotten memories of her wagon and white roses and her mother. She heard her father's voice. She could taste the raw edge of vomit in her mouth, and she was awake. She wasn't dreaming. Maybe this is what people meant when they said your life passed before your eyes when you died. She didn't know. She never specifically asked Barrett about that. To be honest, she hadn't been sure what she wanted to know. She'd heard of near-death experiences, of course. She'd seen ghosts, and she knew the stories, how all your loved ones who passed on before hung out waiting for you to talk into the light. But that was dumb. It was what people hoped would happen, not what really did. She knew enough science and had plenty of her own experiences. The brain was one funky organ. Kill your sense of smell, chew up your abilities to taste, and a lot of your memories get swallowed too. So cut off the brain's blood supply, starve the cells of oxygen, and maybe white light was what you saw when you croaked. Who knew? She sure didn't. She had no idea what to expect at the end, unless this was it. Unless this was her end and she was living it. The dog groaned. This is now chapter 7. Look. Ellie's voice was stuffy and clogged. A smear of bloody snot glistened above her upper lip. By your tent. No, go away. Just leave me alone. A needle of fear pierced her heart. If she didn't pay attention, would everything, the smells and the memories, slip away? All she wanted was to hunker down alone somewhere quiet, focus on what was happening to her. What? She said. But now she spotted the dog struggling to his feet and had to suppress a groan. The animal looked bad, dazed. Blood dribbled like thick syrup from a gash on its scalp. Panting, the dog tottered towards Jack's body, wading through a scatter of dead birds, inking the rock with bloody paw prints. Weary, Alex tensed as Mina began to sniff Jack's body. She had no experience with dogs. Didn't some refuse to leave once their owners were dead? God, what would she do if Mina... The dog began to bark, furiously and very loudly. Startled, Alex jumped. Shut up, you dumb dog! Ellie clapped her gory hands over her ears. Shut up! Shut up! Shh, shh. Mina, shh, Alex said. The barks were unbearable, like gunshots. She started forward with no clear idea of what she meant to do. She just wanted the dog to be quiet. She reached for the animal. Mina, hey. With a snarl, the dog whipped its head around, teeth bared. Alex snatched her hand back with a small cry, and then in the very next second, she caught the odor of dank fur and something else feral and thick and wild. What was that? Alex felt the tiny hairs bristle along the nape of her neck. The smell was overpowering, rolling off the animal in waves. Alex was dead certain she'd never smelled anything like that before in her life. Okay, Alex said, her pulse thumping in her neck. Okay, girl, it's okay. Without looking around, she eased back, felt the soft give, and then heard the crunch crackle pop as her boot flattened a bird. An instant later, the reek from the animal's smashed guts coiled into her nostrils, and a little whimper of disgust tried to push itself between her teeth. Super hearing, too? No. What's happening is that she's smelling a certain thing. She doesn't know what it is yet, but she soon figures it out. Girl fucked around, got quirks. Exactly, Spec. Leave the dog. Let Ellie deal with it. Excuse me. Despite the chill, sweat oozed down her neck, and her mouth filled with a metallic tang that cut through the taste of a curdled vomit. She reeked of warm salt and cold fear. Just get your gear, get the kid, and get off this mountain while you still can. No matter what she said, or how loudly she said it, Ellie wouldn't budge. Frustrated her patient fraying, Alex finally grabbed the girl by the wrists. Ellie, listen to me. We've got to leave. No. The girl jerked free and slapped her hands to her ears again. The kid was insanely strong. I'm not going anywhere with you. You can't stay here. Yes, I can. Don't you tell me what to do. Ellie, I'm sorry about your grandpa, but he's dead. We have to get out of here. We have to tell someone what's happened. An inspiration. Your grandpa would want you to be safe. I'm not leaving. Did this kid do anything she was asked? Alex wanted to shake the kid until her teeth rattled. I can't leave you here. Why not? I can take care of myself. I know how to camp. While she doubted that, Alex decided to try something she'd read about in psychology. Look, I'll need your help on the trail. It'll be a long, hard hike. I need someone to come with me. The girl cracked one eye in a narrow squint. Where? Hang on, I'll show you. Digging through her pack, she rifled the contents until she found the map she wanted. You ever seen a topographic map? A sparrow of curiosity flittered over the girl's face. What's that? It's a really detailed map. A good topo shows just about everything. Streams, rivers, old quarries, railroad tracks, how high the mountains are, how steep. Red lines are roads. Solid green means forest, and she ran her fingers over the map until she found a black, blocky silhouette of a house with a flag on its peak. This is what we want. What is it? That's the ranger station. They'll know what to do. They can radio for help. Ellie considered. It looks far away and kind of high up. The station was pretty far. A good 25 miles east and a lot higher. Adjacent to a fire lookout tower situated atop steep bluffs, hemming a small lima bean of a lake. But going there was a better plan than backtracking 4 days. If they pushed their pace, they might make the station in a day and a half, maybe sooner. It's nothing you can't handle. Face darkening into a by now very familiar scowl, Ellie said, Well, it looks hard. Grandpa and I only did 6 miles a day. Whoa! Alex felt a prick of disquiet. 6 miles a day? What do they do, crawl? At that speed, she and Ellie would have much bigger problems, like running out of food. Okay, don't panic yet. Jack must have supplies. Aloud, she said, I'll bet you can do way more. You look pretty strong. Ellie threw her a look that practically screamed she knew bullshit when she heard it. Her eyes flicked over the map, and then she jabbed at a tiny symbol in the far left corner. This is the symbol she's pointing at because you guys can't see it, but this is the symbol she points at that she sees on the map. What's that? She asked. Maybe an old mine southwest of here. Or a cave. They're mines? There are caves? Well, sure. This is an old mining country. And there are abandoned shafts and caves, but are there bears? In the caves? No. I mean, in the caves? Not yet. They won't den until it gets really cold. But black bears won't bother us so long as we're careful. But don't worry about. What about wolves? Okay, they were on a roll. Yeah, they're around. You can hear them at night, right? So that's another reason to get away from here. All those dead birds will attract animals coyotes, raccoon, wolves, and. Too late. She read Ellie's stricken face and realized what she said. You're going to let the wolves get Grandpa? No, no, I meant they'll eat him! Tears splashed Ellie's cheeks. They'll get him! Ellie, no! Fist balling. Ellie kicked at the map, the toe of her boot catching a crease. The map made a sound like worn cloth torn in two. I won't, I won't, I won't! Ellie! Alex dove for the map. Stop, we need this! Well, I don't need you. Ellie was stumbling back, slipping on dead birds and a slick of Jack's blood. I'm not going anywhere with you. Fine, then you and your stupid dog can stay here. But it's getting late. Pushing to her feet, she pulled back her sleeve to glance at her watch. I've got a lot of ground to cover, and I don't have time to art. Oh yeah, I don't have time to art. She broke off as her brain stutter stepped. Wait. She stared at her watch. That's not right. What do you think she found, guys? What do you think she noticed when she checked her watch? Watch machine broke? Yeah. What happened? You want to know, huh? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Give me a second. I need more water. It's not just the machine, though. Keep thinking, guys. Keep thinking. It's not just the fact that the watch is broken. Think about it. Hold on. I'll be right back. They're in the fucking future. Get out. Be right back. I am back. Kind of lost, but it's okay. Thought the EMP just yeeted the watch is all. No, that's not it. I mean, that is it, but there's something else she noticed. That's not the only thing she noticed. Actually, you know what? She's not gonna notice yet. So you know what? You guys are right for this one. Did you run back? I had went to the bathroom really quick. I'm trying to skim it to make sure that it's in this part, but I think it might be in the other part. But it'll be something else she notices along with the watch. Nah. You guys will find out. Just keep in mind that there's something else about the watches you guys should keep in mind when she also notices it. Because she didn't think of it right now. She just notices the EMP thing. But she's going to notice it in a minute. Put diamonds on that bitch. I'm crying. Alright. Her watch was an older model Casio Ironman. The only watch she wore when she hiked because the watch was rugged and waterproof and cheap. She'd had it about 10 years, maybe replaced the battery twice in that time. The watch had never failed her or given her a millisecond trouble. Now, however, the gray screen was blank. Had she fallen that hard? She inspected the watch, saw that the face had only the dinges and scratches she remembered. No, she was sure the watch had been working just fine. In fact, she remembered checking the time. Well, okay. So her watch had died. A coincidence. Yes, but so had Jack, and something made those birds go nuts, and those deer. Something had sizzled through her brain like an electric shock. No, more like lightning. So bad she nearly passed out. Only now she had her sense of smell back. So, maybe not a coincidence. Her fingers shook as she dug out her iPod. She thumbed it, then she thumbed it again, and then a third time. But the iPod stayed just as dead. Superhero static shock, I'm crying. She tried her cell, nothing. Not just no single signal. She expected that out this far, but the cell wasn't powered up. Neither did her radio. Changing the batteries did nothing. By the time she figured out that her two LED flashlights were also dead, leaving her with just a big Swiss Army clunker her father had bought about 1,000,000 years ago, she was thoroughly freaked out. One electronic gizmo crapping out was something that just happened. Two was bad luck. But everything? Her gaze crawled to Ellie and those iPod earbuds still dangling around the kid's neck. Ellie, is your iPod working? No. Ellie's silver eyes inched up grudgingly. It got hot. What? It got hot. Her tone suggested that Alex was clearly as deaf as she was a complete moron. I was listening to it and it got hot. Hot. Like it burned my hand, okay? Then it stopped working and Alex interrupted. Do you have a flashlight? Of course. Can I see it? Alex got that pouty look again. No. Ellie got that pouty look again. No. Alex knew not to push it. Then her gaze snagged on Ellie's wrist. What time is it? You've got to watch. Alex wanted to pitch that kid off the cliff. Can you tell me? Ellie heaved a deep sigh. 9 and 11. Alex was confused, then thought maybe an 8-year-old might not know how to tell time. And she sure wasn't going to get into that. So 9:11 would be 9:55. And that seemed right, which meant that Ellie's watch. Your watch still works? Ellie nearly sneered. Of course, it's Mickey Mouse. It's used to be my daddy's. I wind it every day, like Grandpa taught me. A wind-up. But what time is it? You have to watch. Alex tried to defend herself. 9:11. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55. 9:55 So are we talking just the batteries? No. Dad's Swiss Army flashlight works. It's gotta be something else. Even with all that blood, she made out the watch on Jack's right wrist, but she was too far away to be certain. She didn't want to touch Jack again. Mina might not let her get close anyway. Does your grandpa's watch still work? I don't know. Why are you asking all these questions? Ellie, could you check, please? I don't think Mina will let me. I don't want to touch him, Ellie blurted. Oh, she understood that. Well, can you hold Mina? I don't want her to freak out, but I have to check something. For a moment, she thought Ellie might refuse, but then the girl's hand snaked around Mina's collar. Alex slid forward, one eye on the dog and the other on Jack's watch. The psycho's hour hand was locked on 9. The minute hand said it was 3 minutes after the hour, and the second sweep hand was notched between 20 and a hash mark, and it wasn't moving. Alex stared at the watch face so hard that if she had been Cyclops, she could have burned a hole right through it. She stared so long her eyes watered. That second hand didn't budge. Her watch and Jack's, the iPods, the stereo, and her LEDs, all dead, and Jack. Her gaze drifted up to his face. Something he said was important. I'm a tough old bird. I'll accept my ticker. Of course. Jack had a pacer. That was the only explanation for why Jack was dead and they weren't. She knew pacers had tiny computer chips that synchronized the heartbeat to what a body required at any given moment. Jack's pacer had shorted out, and that's what killed him. But how? What could reach inside Jack's chest, fry his pacer, kill all of their electronics, and grab them? They'd all felt it. Ellie, with her nosebleed and headache, the dog, which had yowled in pain, and the birds and the deer, which had all gone insane. And she could smell again. Things like blood and the tang of resin from the evergreens in her sweat. She smelled the dog, too. Not just his fur, but something nameless, steaming from somewhere, deep inside the animal. Yet Ellie was back to normal, which for her seemed to be somewhere between whiny and nasty. The dog, well, who knew? It wasn't attacking her, at least. She threw a quick look into the sky, eyed a hawk flowing by on an updraft, and then, still higher. A trio of turkey vultures turned a slow, looping spiral. The birds seemed back to normal, too. So if her sense of smell didn't evaporate, then only her brain had altered in some way. Out of all of them, only she had changed. But how? And what was she done changing? Was that the end of it? Or was this just the beginning? So now Alex really sat down and thought about what just happened. And she figured out pretty quickly what's going on. Even so far away up in the mountains, she had a lot of electronical things on hand, and because of that, she was able to quickly figure out already an idea what happened. Even though she's not 100% sure what it's called, she knows that, everything electronic died, and that it was so strong it fucked them up too. So I don't know. She's a teenager, so I don't think she knows what an EMP is. But she's gonna find out eventually because they're gonna meet with Tom, who's a military dude. Whew. Okay, I need to give my throat a break a little bit. I just read 44 pages. My throat is just like, ah. So you guys can talk about the story so far if you'd like. What you guys think about it, how you feel about it. Let me know what you feel about it and all that shit. Good so far, not so good, meh. What's your rating? Oh, I should also put the music for now. I'm gonna leave it to this drawing of Alex. Pretty fucking good, honestly. I'm glad you're liking it, board. I told y'all, I got some crazy ass books in here. I'm really picky with my books. So if I ain't hate Ellie though, yep, little shit. I told y'all you was not gonna like her ass in the beginning. Like, look at this shitty mean mug she got over here. She doesn't like nobody. She can catch these hands. Oh my god. Not these hands. Wait. EMP happened. Alex still alive, but the world's messed up well in the future. And she and Emily almost get to scrapping. Interesting. So Boba is sticking to the theory about them going to the future. Okay. Does Ellie know her grandpa is clapped, or was she lied to along the lines of he's just sleeping or something? Nah, Alex told her straight up. Ellie, he did. She just told her straight up. He did, honey. Yeah, I guess. She is still pretty shaken up, in my opinion. She's just trying to not show it right now. Because you know how everyone copes differently. I see Ellie has the potential to be on some AJ shit. Maybe. But the difference between her and AJ is the fact that she's actually more of Clementine, just a bad version of Clementine, just a shitty Clementine. So to be honest, no, she would not be on some AJ shit, to be honest. Because remember, AJ was born in an apocalypse. He was born into the apocalypse. He never knew a normal life like Clementine did, and how Ellie did. Do the animals also attack humans? For the most part, I think. Let me see. For the most part, all animals are still the same after this attack. As you noticed, Alex had looked up in the sky and the birds were back to normal and shit. So things are back to normal now. Although there are some surprises when it comes to the animals later on in the story. This music is beautiful. Hey. Yeah. It's surprisingly good first try in getting a nice calming music. Trying to get myself my throat a break though for a second. Actually, more obviously like Ellie from The Last of Us, because Ellie was a brat with Joel from the beginning as well, if you remember. Ellie was also born in the apocalypse, same with AJ. So Ellie's on the same level as AJ. As you notice, she did not hesitate to stab a nigga in the eye and kill him. Straight from the beginning, she did not hesitate to kill him. Same like AJ. Remember, The Last of Us is 20 years. When The Last of Us has Ellie in the picture, that's 20 years into the apocalypse. Ellie at the time is what, 13? Even then, even as a teenager age, she still would not be old enough to have known a world outside of the apocalypse. Last of Us 2 is supposed to come out this year. Can't wait, bro. I really do. I fucking loved that series. That was crazy. The quality, just the story. Oof. Ellie's gonna be a fucking badass. She gonna be eating niggas. I still also want to know who that lady is. People have been suspecting that might be a relative of Ellie's, maybe a mother. No idea. Cause Beck, you have to consider the obvious fact that Ellie is just a normal little kid. As a little kid, what were the chances that you would actually just up and murder somebody? Like, most kids are raised to be, not murderous. And they don't need to worry about surviving. They never had to do any of those things. So it doesn't come as natural to them compared to kids like Ellie from The Last of Us and AJ from The Walking Dead. Those kids were born into it. They were taught from day one murder was okay because murder was not a thing anymore. It was only about survival. You gotta kill in order to survive. Whose dumbass idea would it be to accidentally start a zombie apocalypse? Elon Musk? Nigga, what? In which one? For this book or just Last of Us in general? Cause I remember, I don't remember who did the theory. I think it might have been Game Theory. They pointed out the fact that, it might not have been Game Theory, it might have been somebody else, but somebody made a video pointing out the fact of how The Last of Us zombie apocalypse had possibly happened, or I think had happened, which was the fact that it was through the exporting of goods, of like food goods, especially things like cocoa beans and coffee beans, had been the main cause for everyone catching the disease, because the bacteria or the fungus would latch onto them. And as coffee is the most popular and highly produced item, highly wanted item in the world, that's how it caught everyone so quickly. If you notice, a lot of adults were the ones that caught the disease in the beginning. Even the guy, remember the neighbor that they had, he was wearing a business suit? That dude was totally drinking a shit ton of coffee. So that's one of the ways they suspected the virus was spread. You'd be surprised what kids can pull off, and this is in a world where shit is really about to go down. For the book. Oh, well, who knows? People later on in the book suspect it was a terrorist attack, so it might have been a malicious hacker or somebody who just really hated the fucking world and created this, or took it from government, like security or some shit, and used it on the world. 2 demon-ass kids tried stabbing their best friend to death in the woods for Slender Man, and that's in the real world. Yeah, I remember that one. But fake ass kids, to be honest. Honestly, those type of situations, I'm pretty sure that it's like a mental thing and your upbringing type of situation. Like I said, it's not that hard to go into survival mode too, depending on how you were raised. For me, I'm partially like that. If you were at the stream last night in Cass's stream, we had a question where it said, would you rather stab someone or shoot someone? And I said shoot because stabbing would be too personal, and I fear that it would do something to my brain in a way that I wouldn't like it because of how I grew up. Like, I always based my upbringing of surviving and making sure that, I make it to the next year, because yeah. So, I think those kids had a pretty rough upbringing, if anything. That's wild, bro. Kids believe anything. Yep. It's just a series of things that could happen, and then you just yup. Then you could just see murder as not murder, and it's just something to let out steam or something you need to do to survive. It all really depends on the situation. But yeah, I think I rested my voice enough a little bit. I'm gonna take another swig of water. And I'm gonna turn off this music too. It's not good times no more, fam. The good news was that Ellie cooperated just long enough to dig out a blue rain poncho that Alex used to cover up Jack. The bad news was that Ellie decided that she was done being helpful and Mina wouldn't let Alex anywhere near Jack's pack. Every time she got close, the dog's teeth showed, and finally Alex gave it up. They'd just have to leave whatever food and water Jack had. That was okay. Ellie could have most of her food if she could get the kid to lay down some distance. They wouldn't be on the trail more than 2 days. 3 if they were really unlucky. She'd get by. As she broke down her tent, she again flirted with the idea of going back to her car. With the electronics on the fritz, would her car start? She knew as much about cars as she did Chinese. Like, nothing. But most cars had complex electronics, and a computer chip or two, so maybe not. Heard about this a while ago, but there was almost a zombie outbreak in Florida. Probably the drug thing, right? I remember. I wouldn't even be surprised if a zombie apocalypse happened down here, man. Florida, of course, would be the main bitch starting it. Either Florida, New York, or California, like LA area. Let me see. Uh, she buckled her lumbar pack around her waist. The pack was heavier than usual because, along with her emergency survival gear, she'd also wedged a black soft side case she hadn't unzipped for nearly 3 years. Since the week after her parents died, the case was weighty, almost 12 pounds, and was sort of hers and sort of not. Aunt Hannah had never made the contents a secret, had told Alex she should feel free to look inside any time she wanted. It might do you some good, was how Aunt put it. Though she never explained what that good might be, and Alex sure didn't know. There are memories in this case. At first they had been memories too painful to want to think about, much less remember. For the first year, she had no control over those memories at all. The triggers could be almost anything. A snatch of a song, the sudden warble of a police cruiser, a stranger with hair so exactly like her mother's that the sight stole her breath. Every memory brought pain that was sharp and sudden, and so fierce it was like someone had sliced a knife between her ribs and given a good twist. Then, as the monster grew and her sense of smell died, the triggers seemed fewer and her memories harder to get at, as if she was trying to recover files from a corrupted hard drive. In a way, she'd been okay with that. What she never told Aunt Hannah was that sometimes, having a monster squatting in her brain, eating away at her memories, crunching them to dust, had been almost a relief. Her brain wasn't exactly hers anymore, but at least her thoughts weren't out of control. It also occurred to her now that she'd stolen the case from her aunt for nothing. No way she'd reached Mirror Point now. Her reasons for coming to the Wakama to begin with had just gone up in those proverbial flames, which was pretty ironic considering what was in the case. I'm leaving now, Alex said. I think you better come with me. No, I hate you. Yeah. Okay, listen. I'm taking the shorter trail, the one I showed you on the map that goes straight into the valley. When you decide to come, I'm never coming. Don't forget your pack, and don't forget to strap on Mina's pack. Ellie stoppered her ears. I'm not listening to you, because I don't have dog food. If you could go through your grandpa's pack and bring along some la 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 la, Ellie sang, la 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 la, some more food and water for us, that would be good too. Honestly, she didn't want the kid or her dog to come along, but Ellie was only 8. Alex didn't even remember what it was like to be that young. Slipping her father's Glock from her pack, she slotted in a full magazine, pulled back on the slide, and jacked a round into the chamber. A standard Glock didn't have an external safety. It was one of the reasons her cop dad had liked the weapon. Just point and shoot. When she'd inherited the gun, though, she installed a cross trigger safety. No really good reason. This was well before the monsters sent up smoke signals, but maybe her subconscious was on the ball even then. Considering how often she and the Glock had gotten cozy in her aunt's basement, the time it took to jab that little button and release the keeper bar probably accounted for why she was still ticking. A millisecond was just enough for a person to change her mind. Now, after double-checking the safety, she reseated the gun, then clipped the paddle holster to her right hip. Ellie had stopped singing. "Why are you wearing that?" "Because Jack's dead and our electronics are toast, and I smell you, Ellie. I smell blood. I smell the dog." "You can never be too careful." "Whose is it?" "My dad's. Mine now. My grandpa says guns kill people." She wasn't going there. "Don't wait too long. It gets dark fast." "So go." Ellie screwed in her earbuds. "I don't care." She wanted to point out that the iPod was dead, but thought it was mean. "You will, if you're caught on the mountain in the dark." "I'm not coming." "I'll see you later." "No, you won't." "Okay, then." She set off and didn't look back, but she felt Ellie's eyes for a long time, just the same. Get out, you guys. Get out. Not the blicky sticky. This book crazy? Yup. Yup. This author did not shy away from shit. He said, yup, this is the situation. Homegirl suicidal. She said, fuck life. She said, I got cancer. Fuck the treatments. Yeah, the da this and that. Grandpa dead. Ah, well, glad it wasn't me. Like, damn. I fucking love her. She is the most realest ass fucking character ever. She really was like, damn, sucks for him, but like, it's whatevs. Like, bro, she really was like that though. So this is chapter 10, and this will be the last, I think, of what I'll read. So every time, I guess I'll read 10 chapters. It's already been hit the 3-hour mark. So yeah. So final chapter for today, chapter 10. The trail was much worse than she imagined. The drop was steep, slippery. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me put back the scene where she's like, no, not that one. The drop was steep, slippery with dead birds, scaly rock, and soft, splintery gray limestone. Centuries of erosion from rain and snowmelt had left the mountain scored with steep chutes and funnels where debris, loose rock, fallen trees, emptied before being swept down into the valley. After an hour, her thighs and knees were screaming. Her face was oily with sweat, and her mouth gummy, and her shirt glued to her shoulder blades. Stopping for a water break, she stripped down to her sweatshirt, tying her parka to her pack, then dragged off her cap to let the air's cold fingers glide over her scalp. Tugging free one of 2 Nalgene bottles from her fanny pack, she splashed water onto her face, sucking in a breath against the chill. The water was a luxury. Normally she'd conserve, but there was a stream where she planned to camp overnight, and she had a good filter with a 70-ounce capacity, so she could afford to splurge. She'd need the extra water, too. After the stream, there wouldn't be any more opportunities to replenish her supply until she intersected the river 15 miles on, and then nothing until she hit the station. Yeah, I'm a fast reader. From habit, she held her water bottle in her right hand, the one that didn't shake. Now she paused, and then, before she could chicken out, she shifted the bottle, grabbing it with her left with all the force she could muster. Her left hand was rock steady. No shakes. She built up muscle mass the last few months with all that lifting, but that had done nothing for her shakes. Now, though, the shakes were gone, and she felt stronger, powerful, like she could grab hold and really hold on, hang on. This is so crazy. She was still freaked out, but her getting better didn't jibe with her idea of what happened when a person died. Or, wait, did it? Weren't there stories about how people came out of the comas just long enough to say goodbye? That the brain was on its last legs and kind of let go all at once? All the juices flowing so that everything clicked one last time? Well, maybe she ought to enjoy this for as long as she could. She brought the bottle to her nose. She still didn't trust her sense of smell, kept expecting it to vanish, but the water had a scent that was clean and very cold. She had another one of those flashbulb moments. Her dad hoisting her onto his shoulders, his strong hands wrapped around her ankles as he waded into the Lake Superior, singing "Old Dane and I," with throats bird dry and souls that cry for water, cool, clear water. She let the water roll over her tongue and moaned, savoring the taste of every molecule, every wonderful atom, every precious particle of memory. She thought, well, at least it's wet. And that made her cry a little bit more, because her dad always said that too. She looked back up the way she'd come, swept her eyes first left, then slowly right. A wink of sun dazzle caught her attention. Was that Ellie? Had she been wearing a frame? No. Ellie's Hello Kitty pack had been very small. Probably just room enough for some clothes. Her toothbrush, maybe a book, though. Honestly, Ellie didn't strike her as the bookish type. With Ellie, they were talking a Nintendo DS, and it would be a brick just like the kid's iPod. A moment later, Alex saw that the dazzle had resolved to glare, bouncing off rock. No Ellie. She sighed. What had happened? She'd turned the morning over in her mind a good dozen times. She ought to be able to figure this out. God knows she had the time. Physics wasn't her thing, but she'd gotten an A in bio. She knew that the brain, most of the body for that matter, effectively ran on electricity. So this morning her brain had gone haywire. The electronics, anything that was solid state, got toasted. As had the deers, the birds, the dog. The birds were really important too. Something about the way they navigated. Magnetic? Now her hand didn't shake. She was stronger. After that bolt of white-hot pain, her headache, always a low growl, was gone. Her memories were starting to pop to life again because her sense of smell had returned, and, with it, her sense of taste. Only it wasn't just regular smell, was it? She had time to think about this, rewinding to that moment she had approached Mina, and how Mina had looked. Teeth bare, ears flat. Going by looks alone, you'd think that Mina had been angry. But then there had been that weirdly feral stink, and the word that popped to the front of her brain now was fear. She smelled the dog, and how the dog felt. Mina had been scared to death. And what about Ellie? There had been the ammonia reek of urine, and just and the coppery stink of blood, and another sour scent riding just beneath. That cross between morning breath and curdled milk. Was that the odor of Ellie's fear? You guys notice what's up with her sense of smell? Hi, Wendigo. Bro, mom asked to walk the dog at the worst times. Damn, rip. Solar, rip. We on the last chapter, Solar, so, whatever you miss, I'll explain it to you. I'm crying. Hold on. So what did all that have to do with anything? How did it fit? After another few seconds, she gave it up. All she had were a bunch of facts, a few theories, and a much bigger problems. Like getting the hell off this mountain and down the water before dusk. How much daylight did she have left anyway? She threw a critical eye at the sun. There was a way you could tell time if you knew true north, but damned if she remembered how at that moment. Something else about time was important too. What? She nudged the feeling. See? Once again, guys, remember, she's thinking about the time again. So keep thinking. Why is the sense of time bugging her? Let me see. She nudged the feeling the way she used to worry a loose tooth when she was a little kid, hoping to make the tooth pop out of its socket. Something really important about time. The faint scent of char whisked up from the valley. A fire? No. Something was wrong with that smell. Not wood being burned, but something artificial, almost sweet. She knew that smell. What was it? There was a flicker of movement out of the corner of her left eye. Something above her. She flicked a quick peek back up the mountain, and then her gaze sharpened on the flash of pink. Finally. The best thing was to slow down. Take another water break soon. Let the kid close the gap without tipping her to the fact that Alex was actually waiting. Better Ellie should think this was her idea. After another half hour, give or take, Alex had slowed to a baby crawl, but Ellie was close. Alex could hear the slip and slide of the kid's boots on all of that scree. From the sound, she thought the kid was going a little too fast. A slithery stream of tiny rocks trickled down the slope to her left with a sound like the chatter of seashells sucked and dragged by a retreating wave. Veering into the chute, the rocks picked up speed and sliced in a rush down, and slooshed in a rush down the mountain. That was bad. If the kid made a misstep and slipped, she'd pick up speed pretty fast, get herself banged up for sure. Time for a water break. With a casual, practiced shrug, Alex unseated her pack, then slung it to the ground in front of her boots. Taking a water bottle from her fanny pack, she uncapped it, tipped the bottle to her mouth, and let her eyes crawl back up the mountain. Still a good 50 yards above her Alex, Ellie was coming down fast. The space between them was clotted with brushes and gnarly pines, jutting at weird angles. Alex could see much more clearly now where debris from higher up the slope funneled toward the chute, which was now on her right as she faced into the mountain. This part of the trail wound in a rough, looping circuit back and forth, and well away from the chute. So safe enough, but Ellie was taking shortcuts, shaving off corners, sending down a continual shower of debris. Let's see. That's no damn Ellie, bro. I'm crying. Someone in a hot pursuit? I'm crying. That ain't Ellie? Ooh. And the kid was alone. Nope, it's Ellie. She could see her in clear sight at this point. Unbelievable. It was one thing for Alex to back off. She liked all her fingers, thanks, but what kind of kid left her dog? Hey, take it easy, she called, annoyed. I'll wait. She was too far away to see Ellie's face, but Alex heard the scowl. I'm fine, Ellie shot back. I'm not tired. That's not what I'm worried about. You're kicking up a lot of rocks, and in case you haven't noticed, I'm below you. I'd like to avoid getting brained, thanks. Ellie said nothing. If anything, she went faster. Little shit. Alex turned aside with a snort. Man, oh man. Still clutching her water bottle in her left hand, she fished up her pack in one-handed grab and hefted it on her right shoulder. This kid was really cruising for a bruise. The shots were sharp, sudden, and utterly unmistakable. Pop, 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 pop! Gunshots? Someone was shooting? Her mind blinked, and then she was crouching down fast. Her frantic eyes scoring the valley. More shots. Different, crispier, bigger. And then she thought, rifle. What the hell? Ellie was so close. She heard the girl's airy gasp of alarm, and the slither crunch of Ellie's boots sliding over rock. Alex saw the girl sway, arms windmilling, her boots stuttering back on the mountain. Alex ducked as the spray of rocks rained down around her head and shoulders. Ellie, she called. Don't fight it. Sit down. Sit. Too late. Ellie's center of gravity, already precarious, shifted. No! Oh, shit. I'm crying. I look over and you guys are like, oh, shit, they busted. No! Without thinking, Alex straightened. Exactly the wrong move. Her water bottle flew from her hand, the water spraying in a wide corona. Then the bottle ricketed off stone and out of sight. Balanced only on the hump of her shoulder, her unsecured pack caroomed down her right arm like a lugger on sheer ice and shot off her wrist. No, no! She made a wild snatching grab, another wrong move that pulled her out of the fall line, and did no good anyway. Hurtling down the slope, the pack tumbled end over end, following the natural line of the funnel before sliding into the chute. There it picked up speed, dragging an avalanche of loose stones in its wake before bouncing out of sight. Gone. She just had time to think, oh shit. But that was all because she was off balance too. Shifting on the mountain, swaying as her boots skidded and slipped on loose rock. With a wild shriek, she threw herself onto the slope, her scrabbling fingers sliding over rock. Sharp stones sliced her fingers, cut into her palms. She thumped heavily to her butt, left leg crimped, nearly horizontal like the blade of a jackknife she couldn't quite close. Her knee bellowed with sudden pain, but she stopped falling. A scream. Alex's eyes jerked up in time to see Ellie's left boot kick up and away from the mountain, an exaggerated slapstick version of slipping on a banana peel. Still screaming, Ellie tumbled onto her side, sliding directly for the chute. Ellie! Alex shouted. Roll over, Ellie! Roll onto your stomach! Roll over! She's out, the girl tried. Saw the girl's parka bunched in, pink pillows as friction drove the material up the girl's chest. Ellie slowed, but she did not stop. Move, move, move! Alex's boots slid over a loose rock as she sidestepped to her right. The chute was 50 feet farther on, but there was a scrub pine corkscrewing out of the mountain, only 20 feet away. She could grab that. Ellie would have to slide past before she'd reach the chute, but if Alex got there in time, a slurry of dirt and scree skittered down the slope, a breaking over Alex's head. She heard the rattle of more rocks as they slammed into the funnel. Saw a spray of them slam and then, oh, is that slalomed? What the fuck is that word? Then pinball against bigger rocks and into thin air. Ellie was turtle on her back now, arms nearly vertical as the pack rode up the girl's shoulders. Kicking the toes of her boots onto the mountain, Alex dug in with her knees, then hooked onto the pine with her left hand. Her hand screamed as the bark scales knifed into her already bloodied palm. Ellie, she shouted. Over here, give me your hand, give me your hand! She searched for the girl, and then Ellie's hand clamped around her wrist. There was a mighty jerk that nearly tore Alex's shoulder out of its socket, and would have pulled her off, and sent them both crashing towards the chute if the slope had been any steeper. Ellie slowed, and stopped falling. Gulping, Alex closed her eyes. Over the boom of her heart, she heard Ellie crying and shouting, I told you this was a stupid idea. In little under 2 minutes, she saved a kid who hated her guts, and in the process lost her pack, her gear, her parka, her food. And oh yes, some maniac was shooting out there. They were so completely screwed. And that ends the session of Read and Draw. To be honest, we only drew 2 scenes, but I could have honestly drew Dead Jack, but I kind of thought that was fucked up, so I didn't. And that's where we end it for now. The tingle. I'm crying. I have returned. Welcome back, Solar. Damn, you made that dog sprint. Dog? Dog's not there. Imagine playing Facade in 2019. Wait, what? That was nice. Thank you. So what do you guys think of so far? What's going on? If I read any further, I'm going to lose my voice. So let me know what you guys thought. This is completely End of session. I'll read and draw. So, as of current of the scene situation, they have lost almost everything, and now they can only rely on what is in Ellie's backpack, which you already know ain't got shit in there. And they already hear some crazy ass niggas outside. Crazy ass niggas out there in the woods. Like I said before, imagine apocalypse in the woods. Crazy. I enjoyed it. To be honest, I haven't a clue what's going on, but I'll act I do. I'm crying, Boba. Yeah, things are still hectic right now. As an accumulative, we have no idea what's going on. Not yet. Things become a lot more clear as the story progresses. Still trying to figure out that time thing? Well, let me give you a hint. The information was mentioned earlier in the story. So I already said a certain thing that was pretty important. And that's why, she hasn't remembered it yet, but she's about to realize it in a minute. Wait, has it been day or night the whole time? It's been only a day. Okay. Ever since the apocalypse started, it's only been a few hours. So I'd say maybe 4 hours at best since the apocalypse started. So it's getting into a point where it's creeping into nighttime, though, I think. And Ellie should have been thrown off a cliff. No! Niggas step on one crunchy leaf. It's wrapped. No! Thinking time stopped. No, because time can't be stopped. If time stopped, everything would be frozen. It's something else, Beck. Something else. But yeah. Has to do with her going back to school or something? That could be an idea. So this was the first session of Read and Draw. Hi Swipey, what's up? Just finished the session of reading and drawing. And yeah. What did you guys think overall about this whole read and draw session? What do you guys feel about it? Oh, I should also turn on the music. Hold on.